Feeney nodded. I know. This is a declaration of war against the Ministry of Magic. We need change. Change? Yes. Dumbledore and the Order of the Phoenix are too limited. We have to fight the mysterious people and the Death Eaters, plus deal with the Ministry. We need to turn one of them into a teammate or an enemy instead of staying in this chaos. Astoria nodded thoughtfully as she walked toward the Slytherin common room door. Wait, Leah. How are things with your roommates? Feeney asked her before she headed to the girls' dormitory. They're all pretty nice, Astoria replied with a smile before skipping into the dormitory. Feeney sighed and sat by the fireplace. Today is Halloween. Even the little snakes are rarely in the dormitory, preferring to explore the castle. The Slytherin common room is quiet, giving Feeney space to think without distractions. He has always wanted Astoria to stay in his dorm, especially after the mysterious man's return was announced. He wasn't worried about Daphne and Draco. Daphne, part of the Greengrass family in the Black Camp, has her own ambitious group in Slytherin. They want to form their own team like the mysterious man did. Draco, as Shadow Prefect, has his own dorm. He has no rivals in their year, so his position is secure. Astoria, on the other hand, is in poor health due to the blood curse. She isn't a prefect and shares a dorm with others. If those students join the mysterious man's camp, they might target her. But Astoria seems reluctant to follow Feeney's suggestion. He wonders if it's because she doesn't like it or if she's just shy. He never noticed how shy she was before. She blushes and hesitates when talking to him, unlike last year. Feeney sometimes thinks back to when he cured her blood curse. Did something change in her? Lost in thought, Draco returned to the common room and approached Feeney. Feeney, is what Professor Dumbledore said true? Feeney looked up at Draco and motioned for him to sit. Sit down first. I told you about the mysterious man's return at the start of school, right? As for Sirius and Hagrid's resignations, it's better if you don't know. Feeney stood up and smiled at Draco. Okay, Draco, don't worry about it for now. After saying goodbye, Feeney stayed in the Slytherin common room instead of heading to the Room of Requirement. Though no one had lived there for a while, Hogwarts house elves kept it clean. The furniture had changed over the years. The bookshelf was empty, and the bed curtains were stored away. However, the cat items for Chocolate remained untouched. I wonder how Chocolate is doing with Lisa, Feeney thought. The next morning, Feeney woke up and got ready as usual. Instead of heading to the first-floor banquet hall, he went to the 8th floor, where Dumbledore's office is located behind 2 stone statues. Today is the day Sirius and Hagrid leave, and Feeney has things to discuss with them. Feeney, you're here. Sirius and Hagrid were sitting opposite Dumbledore, looking bored as they waited for Feeney. When Feeney opened the door, their eyes lit up. He nodded to them, walked over to Dumbledore, and sat down. Sorry, I got up a bit late today, he said with a smile. After greeting them politely, he got down to business. Sirius, Dumbledore and I discussed your and Hagrid's resignations. Hagrid, we need you to go near Minsk. Someone found traces of giants there. Your mother, the giantess Friedwafa, might be there. You may want to meet her. Hagrid's eyes widened in shock and joy. He had searched for giants many times, hoping for news about his mother, but mostly received hurtful answers. Now, hearing this news, he looked at Feeney in disbelief. The giants are powerful and can withstand spells. We don't need you to win them over, but they must not join the mysterious man's Death Eaters. That would lower our chances of winning, Feeney explained. Dumbledore added, you can go to Beauxbatons in France to find Ms. Maxime. She's better than most wizards at finding giants and may help us. Hagrid nodded, his eyes slightly red, on the verge of tears. Ignoring him, Feeney continued, Sirius, you were dismissed partly because we need you for something else and partly due to the defense against the dark arts curse. Sirius opened his mouth to retort, but Feeney interrupted. Listen first. I know you're not afraid of the curse. But we want to use it. A wizard in this position for a year usually doesn't fare well, even if it's not death. You'll be in St. Monk's for a while, and Umbridge will take over. Our plan is to use this curse to get her out of Hogwarts. Umbridge is a ministry official, so we can't act against her directly. It's best if she leaves due to an accident. You've only been teaching for a few weeks, so the curse won't affect her yet. You can still hold this position next year. If all goes well, we might have dealt with the mysterious man by then, and the curse will be gone. Black is now a key player against the Death Eaters. The Order of the Phoenix often operates independently without a leader. Unlike Black, many in his family are mercenaries who need orders. Both of us being at Hogwarts could make Black a liability. I thought we could issue orders here, as it's the safest place. But now the Ministry has sealed Hogwarts' external communications. I need you to lead Black outside. Lisa will go with you. I wrote to her a few days ago, and she agreed. Sirius nodded, saying nothing more. By the way, you should be careful. Since the Ministry monitors Hogwarts communications, they'll likely track your magic traces. Unless necessary, avoid using magic to travel. Muggle travel is hidden from them. Sirius and Hagrid nodded, understanding, then left Dumbledore's office. They chose to take a carriage to Hogsmeade instead of the Hogwarts Express, the main wizard gathering place in the UK. Will they succeed? Dumbledore asked, looking at them as they left. Usually, Dumbledore was confident in his decisions, but this time he hesitated. Finney looked back at him. Dumbledore's long beard and hair were now completely white, and his face looked tired. His once rosy skin had become rough and worn. Dumbledore's strong back was slightly hunched. In just a few years, he looked completely different from when Finney first met him. He is really old. The greatest white wizard, a pillar of the magical world for decades, is now frail. The loss of old friends, lovers, and the passage of time have taken a toll on him. Dumbledore never aimed to be a god. Perhaps he was prepared to welcome death years ago. But it shouldn't be now. Don't worry. It won't be now. At least not until Tom is dealt with. Dumbledore seemed to sense Finney's thoughts. Finney, instinctively using a clemency, paused. Dumbledore wouldn't be able to use legilimency on him, not even if he were an ordinary young wizard. Then Finney realized what Dumbledore meant. The old man likely sensed his life was nearing its end. He wouldn't rest until the mysterious man was dealt with. Finney remembered Dumbledore's death in the original story. Throughout the Harry Potter series, only a few cared about Draco's safety, his parents, Lucius and his wife, Snape, and Dumbledore. Dumbledore knew if Draco didn't kill him, the mysterious man would, so he accepted his fate. But Finney didn't believe Dumbledore's short life was solely due to the curse. He was one of the most powerful wizards in the magical world. He could have used time magic to solve it, but he didn't. He sacrificed himself to delay the mysterious man, giving Harry and others time to grow. Even before his death, he changed the Elder Wand's owner to someone unexpected to prevent the mysterious man from getting it. Shaking his head slightly, Finney cleared his thoughts and looked at Dumbledore. Professor, even if we defeat the mysterious man now, I don't think it's time. Dumbledore smiled. Finney, you must know that death isn't terrible. Finney interrupted, for the dead, it may not be. But what about the living? For the living, death is endless torture. Professor, I just sent off Senior Nico. Please don't let me send you away soon. Finney didn't notice the tension between him and Dumbledore. To him, Dumbledore and Nico were like family. Today, he only had one class, Defense Against the Dark Arts with the newly appointed Umbridge. Knowing what her classes were like from the original story, he didn't expect much. After Sirius and Hagrid left Hogwarts, it started to drizzle, which soon turned into heavy rain. Students huddled in groups in the corridor, pulling up their collars and wrapping scarves around their necks to fend off the November chill. They chatted about schoolwork, Dumbledore's declaration from last night, the mysterious man's return, and their parents' reactions. When Finney entered the classroom, Umbridge sat behind the podium, still in her fluffy pink cardigan and black velvet sweater, topped with a giant bow that made her look ridiculous. As students filed in, the room was silent. Umbridge had made her strict reputation clear over the past 2 months, so everyone expected her harsh discipline. Good afternoon, classmates, Umbridge greeted. Her words fell flat, with only a few students muttering, good afternoon. Most stayed quiet, watching her reaction. Umbridge clicked her tongue. That's not okay. I want you to respond, good afternoon, Professor Umbridge. Let's try again. Good afternoon, classmates. Her voice was sharp, but out of respect, the students repeated, good afternoon, Professor Umbridge. Satisfied, Umbridge smiled and said, that wasn't hard, was it? Now, put away your wands and get out your quills. Finney frowned, he knew what was coming. The other students looked confused and uneasy. They tucked away their wands and pulled out their quills, ink, and parchment. Umbridge then tapped the blackboard with her wand, revealing 2 lines. Defense Against the Dark Arts course, back to basics. Your education has been inconsistent, she said proudly, crossing her arms. Teachers have changed often, and many haven't followed the ministry-approved curriculum. This has left you unprepared for your 4th year, especially with your OWLS coming up. But don't worry. This year, we'll follow a carefully planned, theory-centered course approved by the Ministry. Please copy these objectives. She tapped the board again, changing the text to 1. Understand the basic principles of magic defense. 2. Identify situations for legal magical defense. 3. Evaluate defense against magic in actual use. The sound of quills scratching on parchment filled the room. After a few minutes, Umbridge asked, "Does everyone have a copy of Wilbert Slinka's theory of magical defense?" A murmur of agreement spread through the classroom. Umbridge continued, "Let's try that again. When I ask a question, I want the answer to be, yes, Professor Umbridge, or no, Professor Umbridge. Do you all have a copy?" "Yes, Professor Umbridge," the students replied, reluctantly. "Good. Now turn to page 5 and read the first chapter on the basic principles. And remember, no whispering." She sat behind the podium, staring at them with her droopy eyes. Feeney frowned. Umbridge's class was even more boring than he expected. But at least he had the freedom to read. He gently tapped his magic defense theory book, but instead of the textbook, he found one of Nico's alchemy notes. While others struggled with dull textbooks, Feeney eagerly absorbed the theories, nodding and imagining experiments in his mind. Minutes passed, and the classroom remained silent, though many students became distracted, fiddling with their belongings. Unlike in the original story, there was no brave student like Hermione to challenge Umbridge. The Slytherins were from wealthy families and could get education elsewhere. The Hufflepuffs in class didn't care much about the defense against the dark arts. The boring atmosphere continued until the bell rang, signaling the end of class. Feeney packed up his things but was stopped by Umbridge. "Mr. Black, wait a moment." He turned to her. "Professor Umbridge, what's wrong?" "Oh, it's nothing. I just want to know why your brother, Mr. Sirius Black, resigned from his position." Feeney shrugged and smiled. "Professor, he's my brother, not my keeper. I don't need to explain his decisions. But I think it's likely due to the curse on the defense against the dark arts position." Umbridge's expression soured. Ministry officials didn't believe in curses for ordinary positions. They thought Hogwarts just changed professors due to Dumbledore's schemes. "Mr. Black, I'm discussing business. Please don't joke." Feeney shrugged again. "Professor, you started the jokes. Whether or not Sirius resigns isn't your concern. Or is it Fudge's? You should say Secretary Fudge. That's your minister, not mine." Feeney shot back. "I'm not like other students. After Hogwarts, I'll go straight into the Presbyterian Church. Do you know about the Presbyterian Church? It's where the Selwyn family belongs." As he spoke, a mocking smile played on his lips, aimed at Umbridge, who seemed insecure and overly dramatic. "Mr. Black, I'm going to put you in detention." Feeney smiled. "Professor Umbridge, I haven't broken any rules. Isn't the Ministry the most concerned with written rules? If you confine me without reason, you're defying your own orders. I'll be sure to tell Fudge about this." "It's Minister Fudge. Doesn't matter. Is there anything else, Professor Umbridge?" In the end, Umbridge let him go. As Finney said, the Ministry had no real power over him, and his actions were within the rules. This frustrated Umbridge. Meanwhile, Harry and his friends faced trouble in their defense against the dark arts class, thanks to Hermione. Harry caused minor issues, and in the end, both were detained. When Finney heard about it, it didn't surprise him. Harry was brave but often acted without thinking. However, he couldn't believe Hermione would get in trouble. She had to know Umbridge represented the Ministry's interference. So, Finney concluded that Umbridge was deliberately targeting Hermione. But why? Was it just because she didn't respect her? Days later, Finney's suspicions were confirmed. Draco and Astoria were punished by Umbridge, with point deductions and even solitary confinement for Astoria. Worried about Astoria, Finney found her in the library. "Leah, come out. I need to talk to you." He led her to a blanket in the 8th floor corridor. After thinking about her room, he opened the door to the room of requirement. "What's wrong, Finney? You seem in a hurry," Astoria asked as she entered. Finney turned to her, locking eyes without speaking. Astoria looked away, her cheeks flushing. "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Were you detained by Umbridge?" She nodded. "Yes. Don't go." "Why?" "Umbridge is targeting me through you. She has no reason to act against me, so she'll take it out on you." Harry and Hermione are both in trouble. Did you see the scar on Hermione's hand? Astoria clenched her teeth. I'm not afraid. I can handle pain. I know you can handle pain. You've endured a lot. But Leah, your health isn't great. It will take time to recover completely. I'm worried you'll get weaker after Umbridge punishes you, Feeney said. Astoria's face turned even redder. Her big eyes sparkled with a strange light. You're worried about me. She looked at him as if pleading for a quick answer, making Feeney feel a bit stunned. He had just wanted to prepare her for what was coming, hoping she might consider taking a semester off. That would give her time to heal and make Umbridge think she had found Finney's weakness, reducing the targeting of others because of him. But seeing her reaction, he realized that wouldn't work. If he suggested she take a break, she might cry. And he couldn't handle that. Sighing, Feeney gently touched her head. Astoria closed her eyes, enjoying the warmth like a kitten. Leah, you have to know I can't go to Umbridge and ask her to release you, he said. Astoria opened her eyes, her heartbeat racing from his touch. She nodded and said softly, I know if you go to her, it'll tell the Ministry I'm the one they're after, and I become a weapon against you. Feeney agreed with her thoughts. Umbridge was clearly targeting those close to him. There were only 4 girls at Hogwarts who were good friends with him, Astoria, Hermione, Ginny, and Luna. Umbridge had already tested Hermione and was now focusing on Astoria. Feeney knew this was part of her plan to force him to plead for their release. So, I must go to confinement. It's my choice, Astoria said firmly. Feeney couldn't tell her not to go. The outcome was inevitable, she would end up in Umbridge's office. The next day, when Feeney saw Astoria, there was a bloody scar on the back of her hand. It was shocking, especially with her sunny smile. Soon after, Luna and Ginny were also imprisoned by Umbridge. Feeney found them before it happened, explaining the situation and suggesting they take leave. Though it seemed like a warning to the Ministry, he also wanted to show he wouldn't tolerate threats. But like Astoria, both girls resisted. Ginny didn't want anyone to think she was connected to Feeney, while Luna found the whole situation amusing, thinking it was caused by a harassing fly. Feeney felt relieved but uncomfortable. The girls were suffering because of him, yet they refused to back down. Thinking quickly, he contacted the Black family through the Pig's Head Tavern and issued his orders. Since the Ministry was targeting his friends, he wouldn't hold back. A few days later, Umbridge kept Feeney after class, hinting at cooperation with him. He just laughed and stayed silent. All 4 girls had been punished, and if he gave in now, it would betray their experiences. He wanted the Ministry to truly feel the consequences. The next day, Umbridge invited Feeney to her office. This time, the Ministry was serious because Minister Fudge's mother had been kidnapped, an act done by Black's people. When Feeney entered, it wasn't Umbridge who spoke, but Fudge himself. What do you want? Fudge asked sharply. Feeney shrugged. Minister Fudge, I have no idea what you mean. I'm just a little wizard who hasn't graduated yet. Fudge's face turned pale. He had insisted he wouldn't take Feeney seriously, but now felt mocked. Leaning back in his chair, Feeney smiled, clearly enjoying the moment. Fudge gritted his teeth. What do you want? Feeney stayed quiet, refusing to make the first move. Fudge took a deep breath, forcing a smile. Can I call you Feeney? Maybe you have suggestions for the Ministry? Finally, Feeney smiled. I do have some suggestions. Let Umbridge leave Hogwarts and stop interfering. Fudge's expression darkened. That's impossible. Change your request. Feeney shrugged. Then have her removed as senior investigator and promise no similar positions will be created. You can interfere, but do it normally. Fudge sighed, nodding. Yes, the Ministry will issue the decree. When it's done, you'll get what you want, Feeney replied. Fudge was speechless. He had tried to deceive Feeney, but now he had no way out. Fine, I'll issue the decree when I return. Feeney smiled. Unlike you, my promises are always valid. He left the office without waiting for their response. Umbridge looked at Fudge, frustrated. Minister, are you really giving in? Fudge shook his head. We haven't given up. We just won't have the same access to Hogwarts. We can confirm the girl Feeney cares about is one of those 4. It's probably Luna Lovegood, otherwise, he wouldn't be so aggressive. Umbridge's eyes lit up. What if we deal with Luna? No. Fudge interrupted. We can't ignore the Black family's power. Even if they're weakened now, they still matter. Feeney's actions are a warning. He has the power to fight back, so we shouldn't target those close to him. Umbridge remained unsatisfied, but Fudge waved her off. Even if we lose this position, we still have our existing power. The education order remains, and you're still the defense against the dark arts professor. After Fudge left, he issued a decree removing the senior investigator position at Hogwarts. Finney's people followed through, returning the family members of Ministry officials. It seemed everything was going smoothly. However, Hermione was confused. She read the Daily Prophet and guessed this was Finney's doing. But she didn't understand why Umbridge wasn't removed entirely or why they didn't ask the Ministry to stop monitoring Hogwarts. She didn't ask Finney, he wouldn't answer anyway. Umbridge's departure didn't mean much. If one Umbridge left, another could easily take her place. Since Fudge had made it clear he wouldn't stop interfering, it was better to keep someone familiar rather than bring in a new face. As for the monitoring, the Ministry would never admit to it, let alone remove it. Finney realized he could only pursue two positions, defense against the dark arts professor or senior investigator. He chose the latter, which held more power. In the following days, with the senior investigator position gone, many professors were in better spirits. Even Snape didn't deduct points from Gryffindor that day. It felt like the dark clouds over Hogwarts had finally lifted. While everyone celebrated, something was happening outside the school that the Hogwarts students were unaware of. Mr. Black, Principal Dumbledore has requested your presence. The password is Cockroach Pile, Professor McGonagall informed Finney. Confused, he waved goodbye to Astoria and the twins and headed to Dumbledore's office on the 8th floor. After climbing the stairs and opening the door, he heard Dumbledore say, "Finney, Fawkes just delivered a message about the Order of the Phoenix. I thought you should know." Dumbledore handed Finney a note. Finney read it, and his heart sank. It said, "All Black family strongholds in the UK were attacked. Sirius Black was ambushed, seriously injured, and is in a coma at St. Mungo's. All his followers were killed." At that moment, Puff appeared beside Finney, delivering another message. Lisa died protecting Sirius. Finney couldn't believe it. Lisa was gone. She had been with him for nearly 10 years, fighting many battles together. Just recently, she was seriously injured while protecting him. Why did this happen now? What if he lost her easily? Finney wanted Lisa to manage his property and eventually take over the Black family. When he was younger, it was Lisa and Creature who helped him with everything. No matter how shocking it felt, it was real. The Lisa who cared for him and teased him was gone. Lisa Stewart was a pureblood wizard from a small family. She attended Hogwarts as a Ravenclaw but was bitten by a werewolf during a field trip. The scratch on her face was a reminder of her attack, one that could never fully heal. After becoming a werewolf, her family disowned her, forcing her to drop out of Hogwarts. At just 14, she left home and lived in the black market, where dark wizards targeted her. That year, 6-year-old Finney, along with Creature, found Lisa in a dark community. She was a girl with scars, hunted by dark wizards. Finney rescued her, and Lisa became his personal maid, though he didn't need one. Because of her past, Lisa was sensitive. Finney gave her a reason to stay and even opened part of the Black family's book collection to her. 3 years later, Lisa came of age and became Finney's assistant. She helped him build his power, and in just 3 years, they expanded across Europe, parts of the Americas, Asia, and Africa. With the help of the Wolfsbane potion, Finney gathered wandering werewolves as allies, using them to shield him in dangerous moments. At 12, Finney led a team to eliminate vampire reformists, wiping them out the following year. Recently, Lisa saved his life again. Following Finney's orders, she protected Sirius and helped him use the Black family's power, preparing for Finney's future plans. Who would have guessed that a sudden attack would take Lisa away? Taking a deep breath, Finney calmed himself and asked Puff, who delivered a letter, "Do you know who did this?" Dumbledore shook his head. "Not sure, but it's likely Death Eaters. The Order of the Phoenix has been chasing them down." Puff hesitated but had to answer due to the house elf contract. "Master, our info says Argos Parkinson acted, and Walton McNeil planned it." Finney nodded. "Just them, or are there families involved?" Dumbledore noticed Finney's change. He was sad at first but now seemed cold and emotionless. Before Dumbledore could speak, Puff continued, "We believe many in the Parkinson and McNeil families have Death Eater ties. They weren't the only attackers." Finney pressed, "If there's more, say it." "Master, based on Lisa's last message, we suspect the Presbyterian Church is behind this." Presbyterian? Finney wasn't surprised. It made sense those elders would act against the Black family. Okay, you can go, Feeney said calmly. He turned to Dumbledore. Professor, I need a few days off to see Sirius and give Lisa a proper send-off. Dumbledore hesitated, sensing Finney's dark mood. He didn't want to let him leave Hogwarts. But Feeney's reasons were valid. It was normal to see Sirius, his only relative, and to send off Lisa. Noticing Dumbledore's hesitation, Finney said coldly, Professor, I can leave Hogwarts anytime without your permission. Then he turned to leave. Pausing at the door, he added, Professor, I've always respected you. Don't interfere in the magical world. This felt more like a threat than advice. Dumbledore raised a hand to stop him but sighed and lowered it. He knew Finney well. He was someone who didn't hold back on revenge. As Finney left the office, he encountered friends from Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. His anger and cold demeanor kept them at a distance. Professor McGonagall and Professor Snape had heard about Sirius but reacted differently. McGonagall wanted to comfort Finney, while Snape let him go. She stopped him on the stairs. Finney, wait. But he cut her off. Professor McGonagall, I need to see Sirius. We can talk when I get back. Ignoring her concern, he continued on. Finney. Astoria called, having heard the news from her father. What's going on? Finney glanced at her, forcing a smile. Nothing much. I just need to leave for a few days. Move to the room of requirement and be careful in Umbridge's classes. I've lost face with her and the Ministry. He walked into his room, where his suitcase was ready for potions. Picking it up, Finney snapped his fingers. Puff understood and took his hand, teleporting them both out of Hogwarts. Astoria opened the door just as Finney left, missing him. She sat down helplessly before returning to her dorm to pack for the room of requirement. Finney reappeared in central London, near St. Mungo's Hospital. The entrance was in a rundown department store. To enter, he had to speak to a dummy in a display window. Standing before it, he said, Hello, I'm here to see Sirius Black. His breath fogged the glass. The dummy nodded, allowing him to pass through. Inside was a crowded waiting room filled with wizards. Finney approached the consultation desk. I came to see Sirius Black. A plump blonde witch looked up and checked her list. Second floor, third door on the left, Sirius Black ward. Finney nodded and headed down a narrow corridor, ignoring the portraits and decorations. He climbed to the second floor. The sign on the third door read, Danger, Sirius Black ward, seriously injured and comatose. Finney frowned and stepped inside. The ward was small but bright with sunlight. Sirius lay motionless, covered in bandages, still unconscious. Finney felt heavy silence. After a moment, he turned and left, heading back to the consultation desk. I want Lisa Stewart's body. Morgue downstairs, the witch replied without looking up. Finney didn't hesitate and went to collect Lisa's body. He had prepared himself, especially after seeing Sirius's injuries. But when he saw Lisa's body, he couldn't hold back his emotions. Her head, upper body, and lower body were separated. Scars covered her skin, evidence of a brutal fight. As a werewolf, she could heal, but these scars showed she had been killed before she could recover. Imagining how the Death Eaters had tortured her made Finney take a deep breath. He waved his wand, and the parts of her body slowly came together. Puff. Take Sister Lisa to her manor and prepare a coffin. Puff nodded, grabbed Lisa's body, and left. Finney took a deep breath, retraced his steps, and left St. Mungo's, heading to the hidden manor he and Lisa had protected. When Finney returned, Puff had everything ready. Lisa was cleaned up and laid neatly in her coffin. Notify our people, Finney ordered. Puff looked confused. Master, which group? Finney had more than just a private army of werewolf wizards. He had recruited wizards from around the world. His personal power surpassed that of the Black family. These groups included British Dark Wizards, American Dark Wizards, and others from Africa. Finney, a time traveler, didn't focus solely on the magical world. He recognized the influence of Muggles, who were willing to fight for him. All of them. Finney replied coldly. Puff trembled at his tone. Okay, Master, I'll inform them right away. Tell them to gather here. Also, let the Black family know I need them to help stop the Presbyterian Council and the Ministry of Magic. Check everyone involved in this incident. I can't believe only a few could kill Lisa and seriously injure Sirius. Puff bowed. Got it, Master. Go ahead, Finney said, his gaze fixed on Lisa's coffin, filled with rage. Tom Riddle, did you have a hand in this? I wanted to play with you slowly, but now, don't blame me for flipping the table. Feeney was done playing games. No one involved would escape, and he'd rather miss than let anyone go. After all, lives meant little to wizards. What mattered was the lives of those they cared about. While Feeney awaited news from Puff, the British wizarding world was in chaos. Wizards flooded in from everywhere, both legally and illegally. The Ministry of Magic and Pureblood families were alarmed. Damn it, who provoked that lunatic? One elder exclaimed. Is it about the attack on Sirius Black? Whoever did it knows he's a madman, another added. What does he want? To expose the magical world, someone shouted. The fear spread through meetings, and Hogwarts professors were also concerned. Umbridge was pale and sweating, relieved she hadn't angered Feeney further. Professor McGonagall looked at Dumbledore in disbelief. Albus. Phineas is going to. Dumbledore sighed. When I heard about Sirius, I realized Tom had completely angered him. I didn't expect his hidden card to be like this. In the magical world, no one had ever thought to recruit so many wizards. When weak wizards united, even the Council of Elders could be threatened. The next evening, in Feeney and Lisa's manor, he sat beside her coffin, waiting. Soon, wizards dressed in various outfits filled the hall. Master, they greeted. Feeney smiled. It's been a long time. How many years has it been? He looked around at the captains and ministers present. Puff, he called, summoning him. Tell them about Lisa and your findings. Puff bowed and waved his fingers, making parchments appear before the wizards. Lisa was attacked and killed. Damon Bennett from North America asked. Feeney nodded, his eyes cold. Yes. I don't care who's behind this. If you've harmed my people, be prepared for my revenge. The wizards stood at attention, ready for orders. Feeney continued, find out who's behind this. I want everyone involved caught and brought to me. Yes, they replied in unison. Remember, I'd rather kill by mistake than let anyone go. I don't mind destroying the British magical world for results. With a wave, he dismissed them. The wizards operated away, leaving behind those waiting in the yard. In the following days, Feeney's wizards acted like terrorists, disregarding the international wizarding secrecy law. They searched Diagon Alley, capturing anyone with the Death Eater mark, regardless of their involvement. Some tried to resist, but Feeney's wizards overwhelmed them. In just 2 days, the British wizarding world saw no dark wizards left, except for the Ministry of Magic's Aurors. The magical world viewed Feeney as completely mad, with rumors spreading that he sought to bury the entire magical community with him. No one cared about Sirius's condition anymore, his intent for revenge was clear. Feeney had changed drastically in 2 days. His once bright eyes were dull, and his pupils seemed snake-like. A dark aura surrounded him, making the atmosphere heavy. If Dumbledore were there, he would sense the change in Feeney due to excessive black magic use. Feeney knew it was wrong, but he couldn't tolerate what the Death Eaters had done to Lisa. He waved his wand, engulfing a wizard in blue flames, ending his life. All right, Feeney said, watching the figure disappear. Now that we know their hiding place, we won't wait any longer. He stood, drinking a potion from Puff. After 3 sleepless days, he had been waiting for updates and dealing with captured dark wizards. Let's go, he said, transforming into white smoke and flying from the manor, his wizards following closely. The sky above the British magical world filled with their presence. They arrived at Parkinson's Manor, where Feeney waved his wand casually. The iron gate shattered. His constant use of black magic had made him a powerful wizard. Go in, leave no one alive, he commanded. Led by Damon Bennett, the wizards rushed inside. Feeney waved his wand again, sending blue flames to consume the manor walls. With a slight smirk, he conjured a giant flame figure. A giant made of fire. I think you can resist this. The flame giant took huge steps, easily surpassing the wizards rushing toward the manor, and its giant fist struck the castle, causing a tower to collapse. The fire giant's attack sent the Death Eaters in the castle fleeing outside, where they encountered Damon and his group. War was about to begin. Unlike the Death Eaters, Damon and his team welcomed the fight. They were ready to trade blows, even if it meant casting deadly curses to take down their enemies. This battle wasn't just for Lisa, it was for their survival too. Feeney was ready to destroy the British wizarding world for Lisa, and he would do the same for his allies. These wizards, including dark wizards and marginalized werewolves, had nowhere else to go. Feeney had given them hope, and now they were eager for battle. Damn it, a deep voice echoed from the castle. A bald man without a nose appeared, Tom Riddle, also known as Voldemort. Feeney recognized him immediately. Voldemort was accompanied by a python, likely Dumbledore's old friend, Nagini. Feeney raised his wand to his throat, amplifying his voice. That man over there is Voldemort. Don't attack him directly. Focus on taking out the Parkinson family first. He lowered his wand and turned to Puff. I need you to do something dangerous. Be careful. Puff bowed. It would be my pleasure. Feeney nodded. Find a chance to kill that snake with a fire spell. Puff vanished with a snap of his fingers. Feeney tightened his grip on his wand, letting a pendant fall from his collar. As he charged toward Voldemort, he cast several iron armor spells. Nearing Voldemort, he raised his wand. Avada Kedavra. The divine edge is shadowless. Both spells flew through the air. Feeney rolled to dodge Voldemort's curse while sending his own magic blade toward him. Voldemort evaded the deadly curse but was still grazed, leaving a long, bleeding wound on his arm. Severus. Voldemort growled, aiming his wand at Feeney again. Avada Kedavra. Feeney rolled again, drawing circles in the air. This time, he conjured an orange flame that transformed into a giant python. Voldemort was shocked. He had never seen a young wizard control fire magic so well. With his bone wand, Voldemort created a water prison spell, trying to contain the fire python. But as he struggled, Feeney sent a green light flying toward him. Voldemort couldn't escape. The green light hit him, and time seemed to slow down. Nearby, Puff appeared in a whirlpool, pointing at Nagini. An orange flame formed in his hand and shot toward the snake. Nagini hissed in threat but was struck by the fire, rolling in pain. Voldemort roared, "No," as the killing curse took effect, draining his life. Nagini's death meant most of Voldemort's Horcruxes were gone. For Feeney, there was no joy in victory. No matter what, he couldn't bring Lisa back. He remembered a time turner, a magical item he had overlooked. He needed to visit the Ministry of Magic to retrieve it. Even though Voldemort was at Parkinson's Manor, not all Death Eaters were present. The ones here were weaker than Feeney's group. After Feeney defeated Voldemort, Damon and his team captured the remaining Parkinson family members, except for Pansy, who was at Hogwarts. Feeney looked at the kneeling pureblood wizards with disdain. You can't kill us. Hector Parkinson, the Patriarch, stammered. Feeney leaned closer, I can. The Ministry won't allow it. Hector protested. Feeney smirked. Oh. Are the rich family involved? Or are you just trying to use their name to intimidate me? Feeney laughed. Hector, you're a patriarch. Did you think I'd be afraid? I could kill you now, and they wouldn't stop me. Hector lost hope, yelling, You devil. Feeney raised an eyebrow. Me? A devil? He pointed to a witch beside him. Is this your wife? She's from the Goyle family. Damon, take her. I don't want her to die too easily. Damon grinned and called for his wizards to drag Hector's wife away. What are you doing? Hector shouted, realizing what was happening. You can't do this. Phineas Black, give us a quick death. Feeney chuckled. Why should I? As screams echoed from the castle, Feeney turned to Damon. Let Hector see what's happening. It'll make it more exciting. Damon cut off Hector's limbs and dragged him into the castle. Hector's cries of despair filled the air. Feeney's actions chilled the other wizards. I'll tell you everything. Gore finally surrendered. It won't be that easy, Feeney replied, intrigued by the sounds from the castle. After a while, a wizard brought out a fainted girl, Pansy Parkinson. Everyone realized Feeney's plan and cursed him silently. Feeney knew he was being cruel, but he needed to release his anger. Hector had led the attack, and now he would pay. Take Pansy to the castle, Feeney ordered, looking at the others. Leave some to watch these people. The rest can go, but don't kill them. I want them alive. Time passed, and the wailing finally stopped. Feeney turned to the pale wizards still kneeling before him. Don't worry, it's your family's turn now, he said gently, sending waves of fear through them. They quickly realized that provoking Feeney was a huge mistake. They even thought it might have been better to upset Black instead. Damon led a group of wizards to pull the Parkinson family out of the abandoned castle. The mother and daughter were a mess, eyes rolling and drooling, while Hector's face was bloodied, mostly from a wound on his forehead. It seems he begged a lot, Feeney said with a smile, glancing at Hector. Damon shrugged. I didn't get involved, Master. Feeney frowned. Damon, you should let off some steam. You've had a rough time. Damon replied, it's fine, young master. Indulging too much can cloud my judgment. Feeney shook his head, deciding not to push. He looked at the kneeling wizards and instructed Damon, I'm tired of searching every manor. Take your men and bring back their family members alive. I don't care what they did. Just make sure to kill the unimportant ones. I only want the culprits. Damon and the other captains bowed and left to find the wizards they needed. Feeney turned to the Parkinson family, who were now powerless. This is boring, he said, waving his wand. The divine blade swiftly took their heads. He glanced at the chair Puff had brought and transformed it into a grand throne, sitting down with satisfaction. Black has been silent too long. It's time to remind the British magical world who the king is, he thought. He waved to Puff, inform all pureblood families in Britain about the reconvening of the pureblood parliament. If they don't come, it will be seen as a declaration of war against Black. Just as Puff was about to leave, a voice interrupted, Phineas Black, you've gone too far. Feeney turned to see several old men with white hair. Presbyterian, he exclaimed, surprised they had intervened. You're interfering with my affairs, Feeney said. One old man stepped forward. You've wiped out a family and killed many wizards, including a legendary one. You should be punished. Feeney smirked. Are you from the rich family? You just entered the legendary realm, and now you want to use the Elder's power? You disrespect the Presbyterian Church, the old man shouted. Feeney laughed. Are you sure the Elders will support your interference? You're not the only ones with Elders. Suddenly, whirlpools appeared around him, revealing the shadows of wizards. The legendary wizards from the rich family looked uneasy. Elders of the Black family? Why are you out of your manor? Aren't you afraid of an attack? One of them mocked. Are you stupid? The Black family's base isn't just our manor. We only care about Feeney. As long as he's safe, the manor can go to you. But do you have the council's approval? Or are you ready to declare war on Black? The rich family wizard fell silent, realizing the danger of angering the Black family. Though many Black family members didn't join the council, their numbers were significant. The mastermind behind Sirius's attack was still unknown. By blaming Voldemort, Feeney was giving the council face. They wouldn't stop him from taking revenge, and even if they tried, Feeney would erase those families from history. The rich family couldn't let that happen. Most of the wiped-out families were their puppets in the UK. If they didn't act, they'd lose their influence there. This was Phineas Black's doing. What's wrong with our intervention? Are you Black families ready to break the council's rules? A rich family elder challenged. The Black elder retorted, these wizards attacked my heir. That's a declaration of war. Feeney accepted the war first. Family wars mean either you or I die. I suspect your family was behind the attack on my heir. I'll take this to the council. The rich elder was stunned. He wasn't skilled in family politics, he focused on wizard research. Now, he felt lost. With a huff, he led his group away from Parkinson Manor. After they left, the Black elder smiled at Feeney. Go ahead, son. It'll feel good. Leave the council to us old folks. He turned to his companions, old friends, are you ready to protest against those old fools at the council? Of course, they replied, laughing as they left the manor. Feeney watched, speechless. How did one act of revenge attract so many legendary wizards? Once they were gone, he told Puff, do what I asked earlier. Not long after, Damon returned. Master, everyone involved is here except Walton McNeil from the Ministry of Magic. Feeney looked around and saw all the family members present, including Goyle and Crabbe, who should have been at Hogwarts. Cut off their heads and pay respects at Lisa's grave, he ordered. Damon nodded and signaled his wizards. White lights flashed as each life was lost. Feeney narrowed his eyes. The souls of the wizards didn't go to the underworld, they lingered nearby. It seems you're unwilling to leave, he said, pulling out his soul stone. He infused it with magic, causing it to glow brightly, drawing in the souls around him. The stone became even more dazzling, reflecting a haunting red light. Feeney frowned. He didn't sense Voldemort's soul or any fragments. This was impossible. He had killed Voldemort and Nagini. Even if Voldemort's soul escaped, Nagini's fragments should still be here. Unless Voldemort was faking his death or Nagini wasn't a Horcrux. He might have another hidden elsewhere. After Feeney killed him, his soul could have escaped to that Horcrux. But that second possibility was less likely. Voldemort's threat wasn't completely over yet. Finney felt confused but knew he had to separate Harry's soul from Voldemort's fragment. That fragment could lead him to Voldemort. He needed to remember this for later. Time passed without interruption, leaving Finney dissatisfied. Puff, did you deliver my message? Yes, young master. All set, Puff replied. Finney sighed. These families have forgotten Black's glory. Damon. He called Damon over. Check the rich family members in the UK. Record them. Let the Ministry start a commercial war. We don't have a solid reason to strike directly, so let's destroy their pride. Damon nodded and gathered his wizards to leave. Finney smiled at the remaining wizards. Okay, everyone, go rest. Meet me here tomorrow for Lisa's funeral. He left with Puff. The next day, Lisa's funeral was grand. Along with 1,000 wizards, many store managers from the Black family's businesses and Pureblood family patriarchs attended, including Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall. Finney avoided Dumbledore's gaze, sensing fear in his eyes. Finney's actions shocked the magical community. He had destroyed 4 Pureblood families and killed Voldemort, bringing chills to many, including Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic. Finney received a gift from Fudge, Walton McNeil, the real killer of Lisa, whom Finney hadn't yet killed. Fudge had sent him over personally. Finney executed McNeil in front of everyone, cutting off his head and placing it at Lisa's tombstone. Lisa, rest in peace. I avenged you, he said, thinking, wait for me. I'll find the time turner to bring you back. Finney was still struggling with the idea of the time turner. If he were in his 3rd year, he could apply for it through Hogwarts. But as a 4th-year wizard, he had no reason to do so. He could try to get one from the Ministry of Magic, but the Department of Mysteries, while part of the Ministry, was actually under the control of the Presbyterian Council. No one there would take orders from him, especially regarding something as powerful as a time turner. For a moment, Finney regretted killing Voldemort. In the original story, Voldemort had used tricks to resurrect himself, which led Harry to the Department of Mysteries to find a prophecy crystal ball. That could have been Finney's chance to get the time turner. But now, Voldemort was gone, and that opportunity was wasted. Time turners could reverse time, but they had drawbacks. The longer the time span, the less stable and accurate they became. A week was already pushing the limits. If Finney got a time turner now and tried to go back to when Lisa was attacked, it would be unstable. The longer he waited, the harder it would be to change the past. Finney had considered buying a time turner from the system, but those were enhanced to only allow travel within 3 days. They were safer but not what he needed. He wanted a more unstable time turner from the Department of Mysteries. Back at the funeral, Fudge looked uneasy after Finney killed McNeil. Though Fudge had brought him as a gift, he was still a member of the Ministry. Master Black, the Ministry has been busy lately, so I won't stay, he said, then vanished without waiting for a response. Everyone knew Fudge was embarrassed. The Ministry was indeed busy because Finney had been rampaging through the wizarding world, leaving a trail of chaos that even Muggles noticed. They couldn't confront Finney directly without risking international conflict, so Fudge had to deal with the aftermath. The funeral ended quickly, with guests leaving looking grim. This wasn't just for Lisa, it was a display of Finney's power, making other Pureblood families uneasy. Only a few families, like the Selwyns, Ollivanders, Malfoys, Weasleys, and Greengrasses, remained. After most had gone, Finney approached Dumbledore. Professor, I thought you might have something to say. Dumbledore sighed, looking conflicted. Yes, Mr. Black, I do. Please, call me Finney. I'm not the next Voldemort, Finney replied. Dumbledore nodded. Alright, Finney. What are your next steps? Finney shrugged. I'm going back to Hogwarts to study. Just a normal 4th-year wizard. The professors rolled their eyes at that. Dumbledore frowned. I heard you issued a warning to Pureblood families about a meeting, threatening war if they didn't come. Finney's expression darkened. So, some families tipped you off. Professors, please sit down, he said, gesturing to the sofa. He continued, you know about the Presbyterian Council and the 4 families, Black, Selwyn, Ridge, and Lestrange. The UK was Black's territory. After Voldemort wiped out the Gaunt family in Italy, the wizarding world there became a blank slate. The Ritchie family took advantage of that and reached into the UK, which they shouldn't have done. Now that I'm older, it's time to address this. Traitors must be punished. Dumbledore looked troubled, wanting to advise Finney against this course of action, but he couldn't. Finney was right, the British magical world was indeed under Black influence. Finney snapped his fingers, and Puff appeared. Prepare drinks for the professors. Dumbledore received a cup of sweet black tea, savoring it. So, Feeney, can you guarantee these families won't disappear? There are too few pureblood families left. Feeney smirked. They won't anger me. The families I targeted were loyal to Voldemort and attacked Sirius, the Black Patriarch. That's treason. Others won't face the same fate. He paused, then added, I'll just warn the others and shrink their influence. And by the way, I killed Voldemort. We don't need to worry about him anymore. Snape blinked. Wait, you mean he might come back? Feeney looked at him like he was foolish. Of course, he has Horcruxes. We didn't destroy them all. He won't die completely. He'll be in a special state, drawn to his Horcrux. Speaking of which, we miscalculated, Finney said, looking at Dumbledore. We thought he had 7 Horcruxes. I destroyed the diary, Slytherin's locket, Hufflepuff's cup, Ravenclaw's crown, and Slytherin's ring. The remaining 2 were supposed to be Nagini and another hidden one. But after killing Nagini, nothing happened. So, he has one we don't know about. Dumbledore nodded. Horcruxes are soul fragments. When we destroyed one, he sensed it. He wouldn't keep a Horcrux on Nagini, who was close to him. He likely hid one in Albania, where he was safe for years. Feeney agreed. That's your concern, Professor. I've done what I needed. His soul will be severely injured this time. We have time to prepare. Dumbledore looked at Feeney with a complex expression. Promise me you won't let those families disappear completely. Feeney nodded. Don't worry, Professor. I don't want that many lives on my conscience. Dumbledore sensed deeper meaning in Feeney's words but didn't press further. So, can you return to Hogwarts tomorrow? You've exceeded your approved vacation. Feeney replied, of course, tomorrow. But for killing Voldemort, can we overlook my overdue vacation? Dumbledore sighed. If you can't avoid punishment, you'll have to report to Minerva daily. But we can't ignore your contributions. You'll receive the Hogwarts Outstanding Contribution Award, plus 300 house points, a recommendation for the Wisengamot Council, and a first-class Merlin badge. Since Feeney still needed to go to school, he required someone to handle his personal affairs. Lisa had done this before, but now he transferred Damon from the Americas branch. Damon Bennett is a Native American wizard with a strong connection to his ancestors. He excels in primitive magic, using complex spells for attacks, seals, and summons. After joining Feeney's group, he became very loyal and led all American wizards under Feeney's influence. His skills are impressive. It's been a while since Lisa's funeral, and Feeney is still getting used to her absence. He often thinks of her when he gives orders to Damon. Luckily, Damon understands Feeney's feelings, as he misses Lisa too. They were both leaders for Feeney, one in Britain and the other in America. Before her death, Lisa was aware of the dangers when she assisted Sirius. She recorded everything about Feeney's forces in the UK and sent a letter to Damon detailing strongholds, hidden bases, dark wizards, and various dealings. She knew if anything happened to her, Damon would take over. Feeney trusts people, so he handed over British affairs to Damon, focusing on punishing the pureblood families that defected. Damon helped consolidate the Black family's position in the British magical world. Meanwhile, Feeney returned to Hogwarts to continue being a good student. After leading a massacre against the Parkinson family, he noticed other young wizards were afraid of him. Many students who didn't know him now avoided him, just like when he was a first year. Feeney is no longer the anxious little wizard. He has his own group now, so he doesn't care about their fear. What surprised him most was Umbridge, the defense against the dark arts professor, who contacted him on his first day back. She informed him that, due to his heroic actions, the ministry decided he passed the OWL exam for defense against the dark arts. He wouldn't need to attend her class, allowing him to focus on other subjects. Feeney knew Umbridge was just scared of him. She realized her class was ineffective, and if he attended, they would clash. So, it was best for her not to have him in class. Hermione also approached Feeney for help. So, you formed a study group and want me to teach you? He asked. Yes, Hermione replied. Professor Umbridge isn't a good teacher. We can't learn anything from her, so we thought we'd learn ourselves. Feeney raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? You're only in second year. If you were in fifth year, I'd understand, but right now, your peers are more interested in avoiding homework. Hermione shook her head. True, but many want to learn useful things. I'm not leading this, it's Penelope Cravat from Ravenclaw. Feeney frowned. Why didn't she come to me directly? Penelope, a sixth-year prefect, is preparing for the tougher NEWT exams. It made sense she wanted Feeney as a teacher, but dragging Hermione and others along seemed odd. Hermione's face turned red as she admitted, "I mentioned you taught Harry how to fight during the holidays." Feeney sighed, understanding now. Penelope wanted combat skills, not just textbook knowledge. With graduation approaching, she needed practical skills for the magical world. "Alright, let her join you. I'll teach her combat, and she can teach you the basics." "Perfect combo," Feeney said. Hermione beamed, thrilled to learn from Penelope. "Decide who will join and meet in the room of requirement." "I'll teach you a spell," he added. Feeney took out 2 coins, enchanted them to reflect time and place. "This might help you, but you'll need to figure out how to use it from library books." Hermione looked puzzled. "If it were Harry or Ron, I'd teach them directly, but you should discover this magic on your own. It's interesting and has many possibilities," he explained. After a few days, Hermione returned, excited to report that a defense against the dark arts study group had formed with students from various years. "Did you keep it secret?" "Private groups aren't allowed at Hogwarts," Feeney asked. "I did. I had them sign a list, and I added a spell. If anyone asks Umbridge for help, they'll break out in acne that only potions can cure," Hermione replied. Feeney smiled. "Good job. Now that you're ready, let's start our first lesson." They walked to the room of requirement, which had transformed into an underground classroom. There were torches, wooden bookshelves, and comfy cushions instead of chairs. "Wow, this is amazing!" Hermione exclaimed, grabbing a book and diving in. "Alright, Hermione, gather everyone," Feeney instructed. Hermione closed the book, cast the spell, and soon, Astoria, Luna, and Ginny entered. After greetings, they chatted about a popular star writer in the wizarding world. Astoria approached Feeney nervously. Are you okay?" Feeney smiled. "Everything's fine now." Astoria shook her head. "I mean, are you still sad?" Feeney was surprised. Few noticed his feelings. "I avenged her, so I'm okay." Astoria quickly ran back to the others, hiding behind Luna. Feeney chuckled at her shyness. Soon, Harry and his classmates arrived. "What's this place?" Dean asked. Before Feeney could explain, more students came in. By 8 o'clock, everyone was present. Penelope found Feeney. "How's it arranged?" Feeney pointed to Harry and the others. "I'll teach them combat skills. You teach the basics." Penelope nodded, eager for her turn. Feeney then realized he had shifted from teaching Penelope combat to running a cram school. Shaking his head, he pushed that thought aside. Harry's group was already planning their organization, selecting leaders and names. They decided on Dumbledore's Army, or D. Looks like they're almost done. "Let's join them," Penelope said, smiling. Feeney nodded, heading over. "I think we can start practicing now. The goal of this activity is to learn and adapt to magic combat, right?" Feeney spoke first. "If you want to engage in magic combat, the first spell you need is the disarming spell. It's very useful." He explained the functions, effects, and how to use the disarming spell. "Please," a Gryffindor student shouted, "did Expelliarmus even work on you-know-who?" Feeney smiled. "I haven't used it on him, but this spell is indeed useful. It even works on Professor Dumbledore sometimes. As for Voldemort, don't worry too much." Harry looked confused. "Don't worry." "Feeney, what happened?" Feeney nodded. "Something did happen, but I can't share details. Just know that Voldemort hasn't caused trouble in the wizarding world for a while." Astoria glanced at Feeney thoughtfully and began practicing the disarming spell with Luna. Seeing this, other young wizards found partners to practice too. Shouts of Expelliarmus filled the room, and wands flew around. Mist spells hit books on the shelves, sending them into the air. Feeney waved his wand, returning the falling books to their places. He watched the young wizards practicing and realized he was right to start with the basics. Many of them struggled with the spell, which gave him a headache. "Do you have a headache?" Penelope asked with a smile as she approached. Feeney spread his hands. "I didn't expect their basic skills to be this bad." Penelope nodded sympathetically. "There's a reason the defense against the dark arts professor changes every year. They're only in second year and live in a different environment. Voldemort's shadow isn't as strong anymore." Feeney thought about this. Penelope was in 6th grade, meaning she was only 5 when Voldemort disappeared. She had memories of that time. The wizarding world has gradually downplayed Voldemort's threat, which has lessened the stress on younger wizards. They're in 2nd grade and learning the basics. If we followed the normal curriculum, they should be studying dark creatures this year, Feeney said. Penelo agreed. I remember learning about werewolves and vampires in 2nd grade. Okay, we need to tutor them carefully, Feeney decided. He raised his wand. Alright, stop. At the sound of his magic, many young wizards halted and lowered their wands. Everyone practiced well, but there's room for improvement, which is normal. Most of you haven't learned this spell before. It's a bit tough, but you should have learned it in 2nd grade. If Sirius were still the defense against the dark arts professor, you would have learned it by now. Of course, some of you are slacking. I see you, George and Fred. The twins grinned and raised their hands, signaling they'd behave. Feeney continued, come here. Penelo and I will help those who are less familiar with this spell. Remember, your tone must be decisive. Don't hesitate. The spell is your weapon. Mispronouncing it can lead to disaster. Feeney and Penelo moved among the young wizards, teaching them the spell. Time passed until the magic clock on the shelf rang. Okay, everyone can stop now, Feeney announced. Many lowered their wands, but some spells continued to crackle, causing a few wands to drop to the ground. Great job, everyone. Time's up. You need to head back to the common room, or Filch will catch you. Next time, we'll meet at the same time on Monday. Keep an eye on the magic coin for updates. Hermione will inform you if anything changes. I know some of you want to practice Quidditch, but your practice days should be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll tentatively schedule next Monday, and I'll notify you of the exact time later. Feeney directed a few young wizards to leave the room of requirement in small groups. Harry nervously watched the little black dots representing the young wizards on the Marauders map. The Hufflepuffs returned to the common room, and the Ravenclaws headed back to the southwest tower. The Marauders map, given to Harry by the twins, was no longer needed by them since they spent most of their time in Finney's bedroom. They had learned all the secret passages in Hogwarts and could avoid Filch without the map. It's so cool to be real, Feeney, Harry said. In the end, only Harry, Ron, Neville, the twins, Jordan, Draco, Hermione, Ginny, Luna, Astoria, and Penelo remained in the room of requirement. Once everyone was gone, Hermione turned to Feeney. Now can we talk about business? Penelo looked unsure if she should stay. Feeney noticed and handed her a note. These are some practical skills I've summarized. Take a look, and we can practice during our gatherings in the next few nights. Feeney didn't fully trust Penelo on important matters, so he needed her to leave before discussing serious topics. Penelo smiled. I'll go back now. After she left, Feeney addressed the remaining group. Let's get down to business. What I mentioned earlier is true, Voldemort won't cause trouble for now. Astoria asked, did you cause him any trouble? She knew Voldemort had planned Lisa's attack, so she expected Feeney to have confronted him. Feeney nodded. Yes. When we attacked the Parkinson family manor, Voldemort was there. I fought him. Everyone was surprised. Astoria rushed to Feeney, inspecting him closely. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Feeney smiled, reassuring her. Voldemort is powerful, but I was protected by my wizards, Puff and Damon. He couldn't hurt me. Astoria sighed in relief, but her expression turned angry as she puffed up her cheeks like a cute pufferfish. Feeney chuckled and ruffled her hair. Want to come to my house for Christmas? I doubt your father would mind. Astoria blushed and ran to Luna and Ginny, whispering goodbyes. Feeney turned to the twins. We have the OWL exam next year. How's your preparation going? The twins exchanged glances, looking a bit embarrassed. Feeney smiled. Even if you don't aim for the Ministry of Magic, you still need to pass. Otherwise, your mom won't let you go. Plus, after the OWL, you can take electives. If you want to develop your prank products, you should learn ancient magic texts, potions, herbal medicine, and alchemy. George and Fred nodded. We've thought about it and planned to study 2 subjects each. Jordan was set on entering the International Quidditch League after graduation, so he wasn't worried about exams. As for Harry, he and his friends weren't thinking about their futures yet. Seeing the twins and Jordan at a loss for words, Feeney turned to Harry. Harry, let's visit Sirius together on Christmas. He should be awake by then. Harry suddenly remembered that his godfather was still at St. Mungo's Hospital for magical injuries and maladies. He asked quickly, is he okay? Is the injury serious? Feeney replied, he's alive but seriously injured and in a coma. He was almost recovered by Christmas, so he should wake up soon. Harry looked sad. Even though he didn't know much about his godfather, the news made him lose interest in playing around. What can I do? Harry looked at Feeney, eyes full of hope. Feeney thought for a moment. Study and practice. Voldemort isn't our only enemy. Others were involved in Sirius's attack. If you want to help, strengthen yourself. With that, Feeney led the way out of the room of requirement. The room of requirement was tricky. To change the room, you had to exit and re-enter. If someone was already inside, others could only enter that room, not create a new one. Since Feeney used it as his dorm, most of the time, no one else could enter. After parting with the others, Feeney returned to his dormitory. Astoria followed him inside. What's wrong, Leah? Something else on your mind? Astoria hesitated before asking, Feeney, have you heard of Slytherin's Chamber of Secrets? Feeney frowned. He had forgotten about it. Entering required a snake-like voice, and besides him and Dumbledore, no one else at Hogwarts had that talent. The alternative was through Voldemort's Horcrux diary, which he had destroyed during vacation. How do you know about this? He asked seriously. Astoria looked down. It's been talked about at the academy. Feeney's concern grew. He doubted Slytherin students would spread such a story unless they believed the chamber existed. Do you know who started this rumor? Astoria shook her head. I just heard it from the boys. They said if you open the chamber, you become Slytherin's heir and gain control of Hogwarts. Feeney frowned. Leah, you need to know this. The chamber does exist, but I can't tell you where. It's too dangerous. Opening it won't give you control. There's just a weapon left by Slytherin. If you open it, it risks all wizards, not just those with impure blood. Astoria looked confused. What's in there? Feeney replied, do you know about the basilisk? Astoria turned pale. The king of snakes, it can grow huge and lives for hundreds of years. It hatches from a toad's egg. Its fangs and gaze can kill. Even spiders flee from it. Roosters crowing can scare it away. Feeney nodded. That's right. They can grow up to 50 feet, have dark green skin, yellow eyes, and scales that reflect spells. Their skin is valuable for potions, as is their venom and blood. Although they're sold on the black market, few can guarantee authenticity. The Ministry of Magic banned breeding them. It's a dangerous act unless you're a snake talker. Male basilisks have horns, females have feathers, both are magical materials. Slytherin's wand is said to have a basilisk horn. Astoria fell silent. Just when Feeney thought she understood the danger, she asked, Feeney, how do you know all this? You know where the chamber is and what's inside, even more than Mr. Newt Scamander. Feeney hesitated before answering. I found the chamber, opened it, and went inside. To open it, you must be a snake talker. If you can speak a little snake language, that works too. Astoria's curiosity grew. So, Feeney, you can talk to snakes. But I thought the Black family didn't have that talent. Feeney explained, the Black family doesn't, but Slytherin does. His descendants can inherit that talent. The Black family had a marriage alliance with the Gaunt family, which means I have Slytherin blood. Awakening snake-talking skills is normal for me. Astoria understood why Feeney knew so much about the chamber. Feeney continued, I'm sure no one at Hogwarts will open the chamber now. Those who can won't try, and those who want to don't have the ability. But it's suspicious that this news is spreading. I need you to find out who is talking about Slytherin's chamber. I need to know their purpose. If it's just to show off, fine. But if they have ulterior motives, we need to be careful. Astoria nodded. I'll keep an eye out. Feeney smiled. Good. Stay safe. Other houses might not believe in Voldemort's return, but Slytherin will. It could be dangerous. Astoria nodded again and left the room of requirement. Feeney watched her go, deep in thought. He remembered that Bask was still in the chamber. He had planned to take him away from Hogwarts, but with Voldemort's return and the Ministry of Magic's involvement, he had forgotten. Now, it seemed unlikely he could take Bask away soon. He lacked the right tools to keep Bask safe, and someone at Hogwarts was watching the chamber. If Feeney opened it, he might reveal its location. What if that person had no clues but learned where the chamber was because Feeney opened it? Feeney could mean well but cause problems. He needed to act quickly to get Bask out. Puff. Master, what are your orders? Puff appeared instantly, as always. Tell Lisa to prepare a chest with a traceless stretching spell that can hold a fire dragon. Finney paused, realizing he had called Damon Lisa by mistake. He shook his head. He needed to adjust to Lisa's absence. It's Damon, I misspoke. Puff bowed. Puff understands. Puff left Hogwarts in a flash. Finney contemplated his next steps. The chamber needed attention. With someone interested in it, the hidden dangers had to be dealt with. He needed to obtain a time turner. It could change things about Lisa, and he didn't want such a powerful artifact in someone else's hands. That was a huge risk. Puff was already preparing the box. Once it arrived, he could enter the chamber and take Basque without worry. As for the time turner, Finney had two plans. He could lead an attack on the Ministry of Magic and get it from the Department of Mysteries. But that could expose the magical world to muggles. As someone who lived as a muggle, Finney knew the consequences. War would be inevitable. The second option was to wait a year. He was sure Hermione and the others would take electives and that Hermione would learn everything. Hogwarts would provide her with a time turner. When that happened, Finney could go back to when he attacked Parkinson Manor. With the momentum on his side, he could sneak into the Ministry of Magic and get the time turner from the Department of Mysteries. Then he could use it to change the past and return Hermione's time turner. After planning, Finney noticed something odd on his bookshelf in the room of requirement. He walked over and found signs that someone had been in his private space. It seemed like it was his own doing. Could it be that his future self returned to the present after making this plan? That was possible. Finney grabbed a heavy book, the Encyclopedia of Toadstools, and found a note tucked inside. It had a series of special symbols, looking like waves. To others, they appeared ordinary, but to Finney, they formed a message. This is the text of Snake Tune. Only wizards who have truly awakened the talent of Snake Tune can understand it. At Hogwarts, besides Finney, only Dumbledore learns Snake Tune. Harry can't understand it because the fragments of Voldemort's soul in him aren't awakened. But be careful. Finney felt secretly proud. This string of text simply pointed to Slytherin's office. He knew this place was behind the Slytherin statue in the Chamber of Secrets. Now, he wondered if rumors about Slytherin's secret room were spread by his future self. But why? The fewer people who know about it, the better. After all, the chamber is an escape tunnel left by Slytherin. If too many people learn about it, its original purpose could be lost. Finney couldn't figure out why this was happening. Maybe someone in Slytherin had ulterior motives for using the chamber. Regardless, now was not the time to open it. That night, Finney sat up in bed, checked his pocket watch, and saw it was still early. Puff, give me a cup of coffee, no sugar. Okay, master, Puff replied. A moment later, Puff appeared with a steaming cup. Master, your coffee. Finney drank the coffee, picked up a book, and sat by the window to read. Puff disappeared again, leaving Finney alone. As midnight approached, it was time for action. Finney left the room of requirement, avoiding Filch's patrol, and headed to the abandoned girls' bathroom, the entrance to Slytherin's chamber. He opened the chamber door and walked in. Everything went smoothly. However, a young wizard followed him, watching as Finney entered the secret room before leaving. Basque was asleep in the center of the room, as Finney had ordered. He walked past it and entered the Slytherin statue's research room. Just as the note had said, a small, golden hourglass sat on the table. It was the Time Turner, a restricted artifact that could travel through time and change the past. Finney took the hourglass, put it around his neck, and began to turn the spring. Each turn would move him back 1 hour. To go back 2 weeks, he needed to turn it 360 times. As he turned, Finney felt himself flying backward. Blurry shapes passed before his eyes, and he couldn't hear his own voice. After a long time, everything calmed down. Finney knew the Time Turner had worked. If nothing changed, Lisa and the others would be attacked tomorrow, giving him a day to prepare. Puff. Finney snapped his fingers, and Puff appeared next to him, looking confused. Master, Puff said, bowing. Send me to Ottery St. Catchpole. Ottery St. Catchpole is a small village in Devon, known for the Weasley family's quirky house and the love goods nearby. Finney was going there because a black family residence was nearby, given to Dumbledore by Sirius for the Order of the Phoenix. According to his information, Sirius and the others were attacked nearby. He wanted to prepare an ambush to help them. With a dizzying feeling, Finney arrived at Ottery St. Catchpole. Okay, Puff, go back to Hogwarts. Remember, you didn't see me today or bring me here. Puff nodded, confused, and left with a snap of his fingers. Feeney found a Muggle hotel nearby, using a confusion spell to stay there. It was close to where Sirius and the others were attacked. He didn't know who was attacking them besides those he already knew. Sirius was seriously injured and comatose, while Lisa, a skilled fighter, had been sacrificed. Feeney needed to prepare. He had a plan he could finally put into action. Years ago, when he was kidnapped by vampires, he decided to customize a wand for himself. He planned to use the system's wand customization service since ordinary materials wouldn't achieve the effects he wanted. Now that he had enough gems, he could purchase the service. He imagined the wand being made of snake wood, which wouldn't limit spell use. He also wanted to use basilisk materials, like horns or feathers, for the wand's core, allowing him to control it with a snake's voice. After thinking it over, Feeney decided to use the basilisk's nerves for the core. They might retain the creature's spirit, created by the system with loyalty to Feeney. As all the gems in Feeney's system disappeared, a custom wand was created for him. It was 13 inches long, made of smooth snake wood, wrapped in vines with blooming violet flowers. The handle was ordinary, but Feeney could command the scales to protrude, preventing others from using it. A round gem at the end glowed strangely, part of Feeney's soul stone. This wand had its own simple consciousness, usable only by Feeney, which was a nice feature. After playing with the wand, he put it into the ring. When it disappeared, the ring changed. The Ravenclaw emblem became the Black family crest, with a black dog on one side and a black cat on the other. A giant python wrapped around the shield, with a red gem in the center, made from the soul stone. Was this the bloodline awakening in Feeney? The original Tengu bloodline of the Black family, the demon cat bloodline from Finian Animagus, and the Slytherin bloodline? The gem might represent Feeney's third eye. At least now, he could use the ring to absorb souls without taking out the wand. Feeney held the ring, then summoned the wand. Lumos. A small light appeared at the tip of the wand. As he increased his magic output, the light grew massive, illuminating the entire room. He noticed a burning sound where the light touched. It seemed even a simple spell could cause damage at high power. The snakewood wand was powerful. Nox. The light vanished, and Feeney discovered something interesting. The magic used for the counterspell didn't consume power. It seemed the counterspell destroyed the original spell's sequence. Feeney noted this idea but put it aside for later. After rescuing Lisa and returning to Hogwarts, he could experiment. After placing warning spells outside, Feeney lay down and fell asleep. Bang bang bang. A loud knock woke Feeney. "Who is it?" he asked. A strange voice replied, "Guest, are you awake? The hotel has prepared breakfast. Would you like some?" Feeney sensed something was off. How could they prepare breakfast for no reason, especially since he hadn't entered normally? The people outside weren't hotel staff but likely preparing to attack Sirius and the others. Feeney broke into a cold sweat. Why was the attack set here? It had to be because they controlled this place best. There was only one hotel nearby, making it someone's stronghold. Feigning indifference, he called out, "No need, don't disturb me. Oh, remind me in the afternoon, I have a train to catch." He wanted to appear as a wizard who accidentally entered and planned to leave today. Sirius and the others would pass by in the evening, so he claimed he would leave in the afternoon. The man outside hesitated but eventually agreed and left. Feeney sighed in relief. He wasn't afraid of the wizards here, but he didn't want trouble. His goal was to save Sirius and Lisa, not get involved in other matters. In the afternoon, Feeney left the hotel with a suitcase, heading toward the train station. Behind him, several wizards from the hotel followed closely. As he neared the station, the suitcase in his hand suddenly fell to the ground. It was evening, and Sirius and the others were about to arrive. Feeney's suitcase fell and transformed into a puff of white smoke that surrounded him. The wizards following him sensed something was off and were soon enveloped by the smoke as well. As the smoke thickened, they realized they could neither see nor hear. Feeney had prepared this smoke earlier, and under the influence of his snakewood wand, it became powerful. It took time to set up but was effective for surprise. Vincent Parkinson, a dark wizard from the Parkinson family, graduated from Durmstrang. He was tasked with finding the Order of the Phoenix's base, which he believed was in Ottery-St. Catchpole. He had taken over a remote hotel as a base for monitoring the Order. A day ago, he learned that Sirius Black would be passing by the alley behind the hotel. As a member of the Black family, Sirius posed a threat, so Vincent and his allies planned to ambush him. While Vincent imagined killing Sirius and gaining the Dark Lord's favor, a young wizard arrived at the hotel. Being experienced in the dark arts, Vincent sensed this was no coincidence. This wizard must be connected to Sirius, indicating a leak in their plans. Now wasn't the time to hunt for traitors. Vincent needed to assess how this young wizard would act. He knocked on the wizard's door, pretending to be hotel staff. "Who is it?" came a cautious voice. "Guest, are you awake?" "The hotel has prepared breakfast," Vincent replied, knowing his questions had loopholes but focusing on making sure the wizard was okay. The wizard's response raised alarms. "No need, don't disturb me." "Oh, remind me in the afternoon, I have a train." Vincent felt uneasy. The wizard's cautious tone suggested trouble. Later, he saw the wizard leave the hotel with a suitcase. Vincent smiled, following him toward the train station with a few dark wizards. They were ready to deal with the wizard before focusing on Sirius. The Death Eaters had prepared well, with many near the hotel, including members from the Goyle and Crab families. This plan was supposedly orchestrated by someone in the Ministry of Magic. As Vincent tracked the wizard, he noticed something odd. The suitcase fell, releasing thick smoke. When the smoke reached Vincent and his crew, he felt a sudden headache and rapid heartbeat. Was this a warning? Vincent wasn't strong, but he had a talent for sensing danger. Ignoring why, he operated away, choosing a spot nearby to observe. What he witnessed shocked him. The inexperienced young wizard he had underestimated suddenly changed. As the smoke enveloped his men, the wizard waved his wand gracefully. The terrain around the train station shifted under his control, crushing Vincent's wizards mercilessly. When the smoke cleared, Vincent approached the scene to find chaos. Blood stained the ground, and his subordinates' remains were scattered. Fear gripped him. He didn't want to face Sirius anymore. All he could think was escape. This young wizard had shown incredible power using just 2 spells, a smoke spell and a transformation spell. Vincent decided to leave, opting for Muggle transportation to hide from wizards. He wanted to flee England and head to America. He realized the wizard's appearance was linked to Sirius. Whether Sirius survived or not, revenge would come for the Parkinson, Gower, and Crab families. Vincent chose to distance himself from the chaos. Meanwhile, Feeney had planned a counterattack to weaken those ambushing Sirius and Lisa. At the train station, he used a smoke spell and transformation, not wanting to kill but control. The 2 simple spells, enhanced by his snakewood staff, caused devastating results. As he approached the alley behind the hotel, he heard curses and saw colorful spells flying around. Realizing the attack had begun, Feeney rushed into the alley. There, he found dead werewolf wizards, Lisa and Sirius fighting back, and a horde of Death Eaters surrounding them. The Death Eaters unleashed spells like a torrential downpour. "Damn it!" Feeney cursed. He understood Voldemort's intent but wondered why there were so many Death Eaters. Taking out his original wand with his left hand, he summoned his snakewood wand in his right. His gloves floated above him, ready for battle. "Let's fight," Feeney resolved, casting powerful spells with ruthless precision. With 3 casting tools, he unleashed chaos among the Death Eaters. "There's another one here. They have a backup plan. Be careful, this person is strong." Amidst the chaos, many Death Eaters, not fanatical, chose to retreat. But some remained, continuing to attack Sirius and the others. As Feeney joined Sirius and Lisa, the last black wizard fell. "How did you get here?" Sirius asked, shocked. "You shouldn't be here." Lisa added, worried about his safety. A disarming spell knocked Lisa's wand away, leaving her vulnerable. Fortunately, Feeney had 2 wands. He tossed his original wand aside. "Get ready to fight, don't get distracted." He drew a protective barrier around them with his snakewood staff, using a spell typically for camps but now in battle. With the snakewood staff's magic, the camp's protection turned into a strong defense. A blue barrier surrounded Feeney, Lisa, and Sirius, blocking spells of red, green, and white light. "Lisa, Sirius, are you okay?" Feeney finally had a moment to check on them. Sirius nodded, breathing heavily but okay. Lisa glared at Feeney. "Master. Why are you here?" "It's dangerous." Feeney hesitated, unsure how to explain. Could he tell her he came back to save them from a deadly attack? No, he couldn't share that he used a time-turner to go back in time. There were strict rules about using a time-turner. You couldn't meet your past self or reveal you were from the future. Violating these rules could lead to serious consequences, including death. Unable to share the truth, Feeney lied. Lucius found out from the Death Eaters about the attack on Sirius. He asked Puff to tell me, and I rushed here. Lisa was even angrier. So, you came here knowing the danger? Feeney nodded, regretting his words. He knew Lisa would scold him later. Before he could argue, the protective shield shattered under the attack. We'll talk later. Feeney shouted, pointing his wand at an enemy. A flash of white light cut the enemy in half. Feeney hesitated to use the death curse unless necessary. Lisa, however, had no such concerns. She fired Avada Kedavra with precision, taking down enemies quickly. Sirius fought with elegance, using disarming and stunning spells effectively, but his style lacked the lethality needed for this battle. As they fought together, they blocked many spells and took down enemies. But they were outnumbered, and fatigue was setting in. Damn, how many are there? Sirius cursed after knocking down an enemy. I don't know, but it feels like all the Death Eaters in the UK are here, Feeney replied. Master, watch out. Lisa shouted just as a fatal spell aimed at Feeney. She blocked the cutting curse, but it cut her in half, blood spilling everywhere. Lisa! Feeney cried, horrified. He quickly retaliated, taking down the wizard who attacked her. I'm fine, young master, Lisa said weakly. I'm a werewolf, I can heal myself. This injury won't kill me. Feeney knew she was downplaying her injury. If she didn't get help soon, she might not survive. Avada Kedavra, he shouted, taking down another enemy. Sirius, we need to finish this fast. Lisa can't wait. Understood. Sirius replied, attacking the enemies around Lisa. As they fought, Lisa cast an armor curse to protect them, conserving their strength. Slowly, the number of enemies dwindled. Feeney could see they were down to about 10 opponents. The alley was littered with bodies, both enemies and fallen allies. Then, Sirius was hit and fell unconscious. Feeney noticed traces of magic nearby. Were they Aurors or members of the Order of the Phoenix? He wasn't sure, but he knew they weren't enemies. Looking at Lisa, who was losing blood, and Sirius, who was unconscious, Feeney sighed. He needed to eliminate all enemies before he could leave safely. Avada Kedavra, he shouted, taking down the last enemy. Relieved, he picked up Lisa's wand and used apparition to escape. Lisa had survived, but she might not be able to fight again due to her injuries. As Feeney teleported away, he saw a Death Eater rise, aiming at Sirius. Feeney held his breath, but the Death Eater collapsed before casting the spell, hitting Lisa instead. No! Feeney screamed, but it was too late. He watched helplessly as Lisa was killed. He arrived at number 12 Grimald Place, New York, collapsing in despair. Lisa had died protecting him, and he felt regret for not being able to change the past. Was it true that the past couldn't be changed? He thought about going back in time again. He checked his pocket for the time turner he had used. It was gone. Had he stolen it from the Ministry of Magic in the past? If so, it would explain its disappearance. Understanding this, Feeney pushed aside his sadness. He had a chance to save Lisa. He just needed to find the time turner at the Ministry of Magic. But now wasn't the time. News of Sirius and Lisa would spread quickly, and he needed to be ready for the fallout. He had to stay alert in the magical world while taking care of his injuries. A few days passed. Feeney's injuries healed, but everything felt the same. He learned about Lisa's sacrifice and went to St. Mungo's hospital to see Sirius, who was unconscious and covered in scars. After finding Lisa's body, he gathered his men at her manor and began hunting the Death Eaters. Finally, they headed to the Parkinson family manor. It's time for me to act, Feeney said. In the evening, he watched white smoke rise from his actions and saw Aurors from the Ministry of Magic dealing with muggles who witnessed the scene. He put on his coat and left Grimald Place. Feeney walked slowly to the British Ministry of Magic and saw the rundown phone booth. Instead of entering normally, he decided to sneak in. He was there to steal a time turner, after all. He glanced at the ministry hidden behind the booth, narrowed his eyes, and walked away. Not all places have the same restrictions against apparition as Hogwarts. The ministry allows it within a certain area, especially since some employees use it daily. In an instant, Feeney arrived at the Department of Mysteries. A single black door led into the mysterious department, known for its secrecy. Without hesitation, Feeney stepped through the threshold into a large circular room. Everything was black, the ceiling, floor, and walls. Many identical black doors surrounded him, with no way to tell which one led where. Candles flickered on the walls, casting blue light on the black marble floor, creating an eerie illusion. Feeney closed the door behind him. The ministry was off duty, making it safe, especially since the Aurors were busy dealing with his earlier chaos. With only candlelight illuminating the room, Feeney looked at the 12 doors, unsure which led to the time research room. He knew the time turner was stored there. Suddenly, a rumbling sound echoed, and the candles shifted as the circular wall began to rotate. In moments, everything stopped, and Feeney realized the doors had changed positions. Now, he couldn't tell which door he entered from. Regretting closing the door, he took a deep breath. He had to find the room with the time turner. Feeney approached a door, placing his left hand on it, ready to react if danger awaited. When he opened the door, bright light flooded in. It wasn't very bright, but it was much lighter than the dark hall. The room was empty except for a few tables and a giant glass tank filled with dark green liquid. Inside floated pearly white objects. Are those brains? He thought, trembling at the sight. Shaking his head, he turned to leave, casting a spell to mark the door. Flag flash. He continued to another door, raised his wand, and opened it. This room was larger and dimly lit, featuring a deep stone pit surrounded by tiered benches, like a theater. In the center stood an old stone arch, draped with tattered black curtains that fluttered as if touched by someone. Feeney recognized this door. It led to the world of death, guarded by the Ministry of Magic. He approached, feeling a strange pull. The curtain swayed gently, as if someone had just passed through. Nico had told him that death had recently crossed this threshold. Suddenly, Feeney stepped back, cold sweat forming on his forehead. He felt a strong urge to enter, but it was too strange. As he turned to leave, he heard a whisper from behind the curtain, "Does not belong to, world, wanderer, God." Though he barely understood, he knew he shouldn't linger. He could resist once, maybe twice, but he might not hold out longer. Retreating into the hall, he marked the door again. As he stepped away, the wall shifted again. After it settled, Feeney moved to another door. This one was locked, unyielding to brute force or magic. Time was running out, so he marked it differently and moved on. Inside the next door, he found a room filled with clocks, all ticking loudly. Feeney realized he had found the right place. This was the time study room. He entered carefully, the clocks shining brightly, creating a symphony of ticking sounds. Walking through the narrow gaps, he spotted a tall crystal jar filled with sparkling air. Inside, small eggs hatched into hummingbird-like creatures, only to revert back. Feeney knew his destination was one of the rooms. He noticed some doors bore marks, including one with a crystal ball, likely linked to prophecies. He found a door marked with an hourglass, the room where the time turner was kept. Opening it, he saw golden clocks and a giant hourglass in the center. Feeney recognized it as a time turner, though its exact function was unclear. In the corners, glass cabinets held tiny hourglass pendants, time turners. Wizards often kept one handy to change the past in emergencies, leading to a chaotic timeline. The Ministry had since collected and destroyed many time turners, keeping only a few for study. Feeney approached a cabinet but found it locked. He frowned, knowing the Department of Mysteries would have strong protections in place. After a moment, he raised his wand. Torn apart. His magic concentrated, he cast the spell. The cabinet shattered, and as the time turner fell, he used a levitation spell to catch it. He pocketed the time turner, and as expected, the cabinet restored itself, returning everything except the one he took. Feeney smiled, knowing he had succeeded. Feeney pulled the time turner from his pocket, feeling ecstatic. He had finally achieved his goal. But the chaos he caused in the Department of Mysteries meant he couldn't stay. He looked around and tried to apparate away, but it didn't work. This place was affected by time. Every time he tried to leave, he ended up back where he started. So, he had to walk back through the room and the hall, find the door he came through, and then leave. It sounded simple, but it was a hassle. He had to open each door, check inside, mark it, and then move on. There were 12 doors total, and he still needed to check 8 of them. After some effort, Feeney finally left the Ministry of Magic and returned to number 12 Grimald Place. The trip was complicated, but nothing else went wrong, and he made it back safely. Once home, he went straight to his room to rest. He felt tired, especially after the tense events of the night. The next morning, Feeney woke up and grabbed the time turner, ready to go back and save Lisa. But this time, it didn't respond. "What's going on?" he shouted, frustrated. He felt the magic in the time turner, so it couldn't be broken or the wrong one. But it wasn't working now. Is it because I'm in a past state? Then it hit him, he wasn't in his own time but in the past he had returned to with another time turner. Time turners couldn't be used like nesting dolls. After using one to go back, he couldn't use another to go back even further. Disappointed, he sighed. Even if he couldn't go back now, he would eventually return to his own time and could use the time turner then. He decided to brew a powerful potion, a dormancy potion created by Hufflepuff, which allowed for long sleep. He only needed to sleep for about half a month. Egg roll, he called, knowing Puff was busy with war-related matters. A house elf who looked like Puff but was more masculine appeared. Master, egg roll is at your service. Feeny nodded. Puff told you where I usually go, right? Egg roll confirmed, yes, he did. Do you want me to take you somewhere? Feeny replied, yes. Take me to the room of requirement at Hogwarts. Egg roll nodded and snapped his fingers, transporting them to the 8th floor of Hogwarts Castle. Feeny wasted no time, walking back and forth in front of the carpet 3 times before entering his bedroom in the room of requirement. He found the Encyclopedia of Toadstools, placed the note inside, and left a trace only he could detect. Okay, egg roll, take me to Slytherin's secret room under the castle. You know where it is, right? Egg roll nodded, yes, I'll take you there now. With another snap, they arrived at Slytherin's secret room. Feeny placed the time turner on the table and entered the room where the books were stored. Get a bed set up here, he instructed. Egg roll quickly complied, finishing in under 2 minutes. Okay, you can head back to Grimmauld Place now, Feeny said. Egg roll vanished, and Feeny cast a spell on the door. He held the dormancy potion in his hand, ready to use it. When he woke up, he heard footsteps outside Slytherin's office. Someone must have found the note and was looking for the time turner. After a moment, he opened the door and stepped out, only to find the time turner missing from the table. This is wrong, he exclaimed. I didn't have a time turner on me, and now it's gone. Then he realized he had created a closed loop. Where did the time turner that sent him back come from? The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. It felt like someone was controlling this time loop to keep him from mastering the time turner. Who could do this, he wondered, feeling anxious. Without the time turner, he couldn't save Lisa. Suddenly, he heard a loud cry from the Slytherin chamber. He rushed out, remembering Sparky was sleeping there. If he woke him, it would be a hassle to get him back to sleep. When he stepped out, he saw Dumbledore's phoenix, Fawkes, hovering above the secret room. Fawkes. Dumbledore must have known what he was doing and wanted to summon him. Feeny extended his arm, and Fawkes flew over, grabbing it and leading him to Dumbledore's office in a burst of flames. Professor, were you looking for me? Feeny asked as he sat down in front of Dumbledore. Dumbledore ignored his casual demeanor, having grown used to it. Yes, I was, he replied. Would you like black tea or coffee? Feeny frowned. Dumbledore had been upset with him over the revenge on the Parkinson family. Why was he being so nice now? Just black tea, he said. Let's add some pastries. Black tea isn't the same without them, Dumbledore suggested, smiling. Cockroach clusters? Feeny asked, hesitating. Dumbledore nodded, the latest batch from your factory is excellent. Feeny waved it off. He was curious about the new flavor, but it was hard to explain. Dumbledore was likely the only one who enjoyed them, aside from himself. After sipping his tea, Feeny looked at Dumbledore. So, what did you want to tell me? Dumbledore nodded and pulled out the Elder Wand, waving it through the air. Smoke billowed from the tip, forming an image above them. Feeny's eyes widened. It showed Ravenclaw's Chamber of Secrets. The entrance was the room of requirement, and he never realized how many versions of himself were inside. Is this a time turner? He asked. Dumbledore confirmed, yes. After the incident at Parkinson's Manor, I checked the Department of Mysteries. The time turner wasn't missing. Feeny frowned. Dumbledore knew he wanted to go back to save Lisa, so why wasn't it missing? But a former colleague just informed me that a time turner disappeared, Dumbledore added. Feeny was stunned. The one he used really came from the Ministry of Magic. Dumbledore continued, that's when I sensed something was off. I checked Hogwarts and saw this scene in Ravenclaw's secret room, and the number of people was still increasing. Feeny was shocked. If the number kept growing, it meant he had been looping back, failing to save Lisa. Am I stuck in a time loop? He asked, confused. Dumbledore shook his head. No, it's different. You made a decision that affected time, impacting reality. Feeny was puzzled. Dumbledore explained, there's a magical bloodline in you that can affect time directly. You can't do it alone, but you got a time turner from the Ministry. Dumbledore looked serious. Finny, you know that what happened in the past can't be changed, right? No matter how many times you go back, Lisa will still die, and Sirius will remain in a coma. He pointed to the image of Finny, still increasing in number. Finny frowned. But how can I be sure without trying? Dumbledore sighed and handed Finny a time turner. Then go ahead. Finny took it and turned it, disappearing in an instant. Bang, bang, bang. There was a knock at the office door. Dumbledore waved his wand, opening it to reveal Finny stepping back in. Is it confirmed this time? Dumbledore asked, knowing this was the newly awakened Finny who had just used the time turner. Finny nodded, looking troubled. I still failed. Dumbledore sighed and said, Finny, you know about me, right? This isn't a secret among pureblood families. Finny nodded, understanding Dumbledore was referring to his sister, Ariana. Dumbledore continued, if a time turner could change the past, do you think I wouldn't use it? Back then, I wasn't as powerful as I am now, though I don't like being called great. But it's the only word for it. Finny got the point. If changing the past was possible, Dumbledore would have done it, especially when he was working with Grindelwald to change the world. He realized Dumbledore must have used the time turner before understanding that the past couldn't be changed. But should they just give up? Finny looked at the white mist above them, where his time clones were multiplying in Ravenclaw's secret room. Dumbledore noticed too. He turned to Finny and said, you need to know why the time turner is banned. It's not just about time travel. You should understand by now that time travel can't change the past, and the time turner can't reach the future. So, it's not that scary. Finny nodded, but he wondered why the time turner was banned by both the Ministry of Magic and the Presbyterian Council. Dumbledore seemed to sense Finny's doubts. He pointed at the mist and explained, the time turner is banned because if someone stubbornly tries to change a moment in time, they'll keep using it. This doesn't stop time from moving forward, it just makes that time unstable, leading to unexpected events. He paused, then summarized, in simple terms, if you keep trying to change the past, you'll create many versions of yourself. Even if they're dormant and don't consume much, they still need oxygen. If many people do this, it can lead to a sudden increase in numbers at a specific time, and the results can be disastrous. Finny fell silent. He understood Dumbledore's warning and realized his plan was wrong, but he was unwilling to accept that. He pulled out the time turner again. Seeing this, Dumbledore frowned and quickly snatched it away. Professor, are you trying to stop me? Finny asked, looking Dumbledore in the eye. Dumbledore sighed. It's not about stopping you, Finny. What you're doing is wrong, and it could endanger the magical world. Finny glared back. The safety of the magical world isn't my concern. I won't let you stop me. Suddenly, Dumbledore noticed Finny had vanished, leaving behind a faint trace of magic. Dumbledore sighed, disappointed. It seems his bloodline power has fully awakened. He looked up at the mist, where more clones of Finny were appearing, filling the secret room. Watching Finny disappear and reappear in the Chamber of Secrets, Dumbledore realized his student was harder to control than he thought. Finny was reckless, ignoring the consequences of his actions. In these 10 years, Finny had gained confidence in his power. Lisa's death shattered that confidence, making him desperate. She had been like a sister to him, caring for him as he grew up. While Dumbledore pondered this, Finny was caught in a cycle of failure, constantly losing hope. He remained in Ravenclaw's secret room, endlessly repeating the same attempts to save Lisa. Time passed, and after numerous cycles, Finny began to feel the effects. Everyone knew the time turner had a flaw, but few paid attention. Time itself kept moving forward. Using the time turner once or twice was fine, but repeated use would shorten a person's lifespan. For Finny, each trip back took half a month, but in reality, only a few minutes passed. If he continued this way, he might exhaust his life force without changing the past. During these trips, he witnessed Lisa's many deaths, killed by enemies during battles. Each time, he failed to save her, leading to more chaos. Was it true that the past couldn't be changed? Finny wasn't sure, but he knew he couldn't change it with his current power. However, he wasn't using the time turner now, he was relying on his own talent. He realized he could go back as far as he wanted, as long as his magic supported him. This gave him hope. If he improved himself, perhaps he could change the past one day. Frustrated and weak, Finny collapsed in Ravenclaw's secret room, staring at his sleeping self, lost in confusion. Finny had disappeared. Although he returned to Hogwarts not long ago, he suddenly went silent. No one in the magical world had news of him, as if he was hiding. Astoria worried for his safety but didn't know how to find him. She could have asked Sirius, but he was still unconscious. This left Astoria feeling helpless. The atmosphere in Slytherin Academy was strange. Some thought Finney was just studying somewhere, while others believed he had been captured by the Ministry of Magic for the massacre of the Parkinson, Goyle, and Crabbe families. Despite the rumors, no one dared act against the Black family. What if Finney was just in seclusion? To many pureblood wizards, Finney was seen as a madman. Those loyal to the Black family were glad to have him as a leader, while others feared him after his previous actions. As time passed, several months went by without news of Finney. However, through the Black family's intelligence networks, it was clear he was simply hiding. Astoria felt his absence deeply. Christmas had come and gone, and Finney had broken his promise to take her to the Black family for the holidays or to see Sirius. Now it was June, and everyone at Hogwarts seemed to have accepted that Finney had vanished. Even Dumbledore couldn't find him, but he suspected Finney had given up on changing things. He was no longer in the Ravenclaw chamber, and the magical world wasn't experiencing any time fluctuations. But where was Finney? At that moment, Finney was in Hufflepuff's Chamber of Secrets, a hidden place built by Hufflepuff for long-term rest. It was well suited for survival and located in the Forbidden Forest, accessible only with the Golden Cup. For months, he had stayed there, giving orders to Damon but otherwise not interfering in the magical world. He focused on studying magic. He realized the current magical system wouldn't make him legendary. Dumbledore, Nico, and Voldemort had all become legends by forging their own paths. Finney needed to do the same. With the power of a great wizard, he was touching the threshold of legend. To create his own path, he had to organize what he already possessed. He spent most of his time doing this while also contemplating his future. Although the system no longer helped him much, it made organizing his abilities easier. Finney had awakened many bloodlines, almost all of them. If he had lived thousands of years earlier, he might have become a legend through his bloodline alone. However, the bloodlines were complicated. Powers from the Earthly Python, Civet Cat, Star Horse, Tengu, and Dark Raven provided him with many talents, like magical vision, enhanced body, and time travel. These powers were his main reliance as he approached the legendary realm, but they also posed the biggest obstacle. In some ways, less talented wizards found it easier to become legends because they weren't held back by multiple bloodlines. Now, Finney needed to choose one bloodline as his path, purifying and fusing the others while retaining their innate powers. The mortal python gifted Finney's snake with ancient words, devouring, and magical perception. The civet cat is the strongest bloodline in Finney's body, with the highest awakening rate. His animagus form is a cat due to this influence. This bloodline grants him valuable abilities, including 9 lives, time travel, and a magical sense that most with magical blood possess. Compared to these two powerful bloodlines, the Star Horse, Dark Crow, and Tengu are less impressive. However, the Tengu is the purest bloodline of the Black family, complicating Finney's choice. If he becomes a legend, the Tengu bloodline could provide immense support. This dilemma troubles Finney. Choosing the mortal python or civet cat could be his path to strength, but he would have to navigate it alone. On the other hand, choosing the Tengu may lead to guidance but with a weaker start. Both paths could make him stronger, but Finney's goal is not just to be a legend. He wants to become a god who can return home. Finney reflected on his goal and desire to go home. Even gods have strengths and weaknesses. Compared to the Tengu, the civet cat's talents in time and space suit him better. Even the mortal python can't match that. So, Finney decided on the civet bloodline. Next, he planned to digest the other bloodlines and merge their powers into the civet bloodline. Once pure enough, he would become a legend. With a pure bloodline, he could become a demigod and, if the opportunity arises, a god. The path to godhood seemed close. Finney emerged from Hufflepuff's Chamber of Secrets. Though it seemed he had done nothing for months, he had organized his knowledge rather than inventing new magic. However, if anyone tried to confront Finney now, they would face a great wizard who, though not yet an adult, possessed legendary power. I wondered if anything happened at Hogwarts. But it doesn't matter. Dumbledore is still around, so no one with bad intentions will cause trouble there. Well, Quirrell and Umbridge don't count. One was a former professor plotting against Voldemort, and the other was a ministry official at Hogwarts. Master, you're back. Finney didn't go straight to number 12 Grimmauld Place but chose Lisa's manor. After her sacrifice, the loyalty spell here faded, and Finney's men protected it year-round since it was where Lisa rested. Seeing Finney, the guard wizard greeted him quickly. Is Damon here? Finney asked. The wizard replied, Mr. Damon is resting on the first floor. The first floor was open for the wizards to live in, while the second floor held Lisa's and Finny's rooms, along with books on the third floor. Finny walked through the manor, greeting the guards and arriving at the villa, which resembled a Gothic castle. It had 4 large floors, accommodating many people. Master? Damon looked puzzled. Shouldn't you be taking exams at Hogwarts? There are rumors you've been missing for 6 months. Finny understood Damon's confusion. He raised his hand, revealing his snakewood staff from the Ravenclaw ring. With a wave, he summoned a ball of water that transformed into a small sparrow, chirping in the air. Damon relaxed. Only Finny could use this unique plastic magic, which he never shared with anyone. Master, do you have something to tell me? Damon asked. Finny shook his head slightly and sat in a chair. I've been in seclusion and don't know much about the magical world or the Black family situation. Please update me. Damon nodded, clapping his hands for a house elf to bring tea. This elf belonged to Damon, not the Blacks or Finny. When Finny asked for protection here, Damon declined to use his house elves, knowing they were also Finny's bodyguards. Once settled, Damon detailed the current magical world situation. About 2 months ago, news spread that you were missing. At first, no one believed it, considering your recent victory over the Parkinson, Goyle, and Crabbe families. But as time passed without your appearance, some began to believe it. However, only scattered wizards spread this rumor, and they lack influence. Many families are watching. If you don't show up soon or if our businesses face issues, they'll see it as proof you're truly missing, indicating we have internal problems to handle carefully. Still, some have special intentions, Damon added. Finny's eyes narrowed. Which ones? They're those who previously sided with the rich family and faced our wrath, Damon replied. Finny smirked. It seems Rich and his allies aren't ready to back down. How could they? The Black family controls over half of Italy, while Selwyn manages Greece tightly. The UK remains a target, and after Finny took charge, he began to assert control over the British magical world. Go on, is there anything else? Finny pressed. Damon hesitated. The Ministry of Magic arrested some of our people for the attack on Parkinson's Manor, but I spoke with Minister Fudge, and they were released. Finny frowned. The rich family's petty actions were understandable, but the Ministry's interference was a provocation. He doubted Fudge knew about the true dynamics of the wizarding world, including the Presbyterian Church's existence. Damon, go back and apply some pressure on the Ministry of Magic. The Black family has regained control of the British wizarding world. They need to know who's in charge. Damon nodded. I'll inform the other families. Finny felt satisfied and continued the conversation. By the way, is Sirius awake? Damon shook his head. Not yet. Should I send someone to guard St. Mungo's? With rumors of your disappearance, if Sirius dies, the Black family's assets will be at risk. Finny thought for a moment. Yes, but don't reveal yourselves. I want to maintain the illusion that I'm missing. Let's see who acts first, then we'll pressure the Ministry. Damon agreed. As Finny's leader in America, his skills often surpassed even Lisa's. By the way, Master, the custom box you requested is ready. Finny's eyes lit up. Great. Now I can bring Bask out of Hogwarts. Very well, Damon. Arrange for a few people to dig a space under the manor and place the entrance in the forest. No one should approach the forest. I plan to raise a basilisk there. A basilisk? Who would dare cultivate that? Damon exclaimed. Finny waved his hand. This isn't just any basilisk, it's one born 1,000 years ago. You've heard the rumors about Slytherin's Chamber of Secrets in Hogwarts, right? Damon nodded. Yes, those rumors surfaced in the magical world 6 months ago. Finny smiled and said. Hey, I don't know who started the rumor, but there's definitely a basilisk in the secret room. I just want this box to bring it out. I'm really curious about who's behind this secret room idea. Damon got what Finny was hinting at and replied. I'll keep an eye on things at Hogwarts. Surprisingly, Finny waved his hand and said. No need for that. Just take care of the manor. And remember to feed Bask regularly. Don't look the basilisk in the eyes. I have other plans for Hogwarts. Damon understood that Finny had his own agenda, so he didn't push it. So, Master, what's your plan while you're gone? Finny previously mentioned he'd be disappearing from the magical world to flush out some snakes and see who has bad intentions. He had to hide for a while, which is why Damon asked. Finny grinned and said. Head to Greece. Lisa found some clues that Hyper might have left something there. I want to check it out, it could help me grow stronger. He paused and asked. By the way, do we have a safe spot in Diagon Alley? What store is it? Damon was surprised Finney didn't know. Maybe he was testing him. But that didn't seem like Finney's style. Finney must have noticed Damon's confusion and said with a smile. Lisa handled that before. I didn't bother looking at the documents, so I figured I'd just ask you. Damon nodded and said. The Black family owns a lot of places in Diagon Alley, but those aren't suitable for a stronghold. Our safe spot is at Vanilla Coffee, number 94. There's a room reserved just for you. Only our people go in and out as staff. Finney thought about it. He didn't remember anything special about number 94, but he did recall number 93 next door, which would be the Weasley brothers' joke shop in the future. Right now, it was just an empty store owned by the Black family. He remembered the ice cream at Vanilla Cafe was pretty good. What if he ended up owning that shop? Damon explained. According to the documents Lisa left me, this cafe has always been under your name but never officially opened. Before, our only stronghold near Diagon Alley was the Silver Moon Magic Store, but after it got damaged, we turned this cafe into a new base. Finney nodded, and a white shadow swooped into the villa, landing on a chair next to him. He smiled and reached out to pet the owl that just flew in. It was the big fish owl he bought in the former Soviet Union when he escaped from vampires in first grade, Owl Popsicle. With a flick of his fingers, a quill lifted and started writing on the parchment. Finney asked Damon. Do we have a base in Greece? A hotel or something would be great. Damon thought for a moment, then got up and searched through a nearby bookshelf. After a bit, he returned with a thick notebook, marked with Greece on the cover. He opened it and said. Most of our strongholds in Greece are tied to the Black family's businesses. We only have one tavern. We've got taverns all over Greece for gathering info. He wrote down the details on a piece of parchment and handed it to Finney. This is our tavern list in Greece. If you want to keep a low profile, these places will work. Just show the Black family crest ring. Finney nodded. Most of his wizard bosses had a ring with the Black family crest. He had one too, which combined the Black family and Ravenclaw rings, with the black crest in the center surrounded by the Hogwarts house emblems. It still worked for spellcasting and had 3 protective spells. The quill finished the letter Finney was writing. He picked it up, sealed it, and tied it to Popsicle's feet, saying, Send this to Astoria Greengrass. Popsicle squawked and took off. After watching the owl fly away, Finney turned to Damon and said, Once I leave, arrange for some people to keep an eye on the Greengrass family. Damon nodded, looking puzzled. Master, about the second young lady of the Greengrass family. Finney guessed what he was getting at and replied. Even though the Black family is down to just 2 direct descendants, Sirius and me, our partners are still chosen by the family elders. We can only marry purebloods. Right now, the only options I have are Ginny from the Weasley family and Astoria from the Greengrass family. Damon nodded, looking conflicted. Finney frowned and said, Just say what's on your mind. Damon hesitated, then asked. But, Master, what about Miss Silna from the Selwyn family? That reminded Finney of Silna, the youngest in the Selwyn family. She had a rough start with magic and almost got labeled a squib when she was 9. The Selwyn family wouldn't kick her out for being a squib, but she'd have to live in the Muggle world. When Finney attended a banquet at the Selwyn family, he met her for the first time. She was nice and cute, not like her crazy brothers. Finney shook his head, saying, The Selwyn family wouldn't agree to Silna marrying me. Even if they did, the Black family elders wouldn't allow it. Damon could see why. From a status perspective, Silna was a better match than Astoria. But marrying her would look bad for the Selwyn family, given her magical issues. Finney knew he had to follow the Black family rules. While he could choose a partner from a pureblood family, he had to be careful. He could have a secret lover since many families were okay with that, but he needed to maintain his status in the magical world. Finney knew he could only choose pureblood witches he got along with. He thought about Ginny, who liked Harry. But Harry didn't seem to notice, so she wasn't an option. Astoria, who was neutral and now aligned with the Black family, was a good choice. They got along well, so it made sense. He felt that Hermione liked him too, but her status wouldn't let her be the mistress of the Black family. Finney had feelings for Hermione, but he was more logical than emotional. Even when he avenged Lisa, it was for a purpose. Okay, Damon, let's drop Silna. If any families reach out about marrying into the black family, try to refuse. If it's unavoidable, don't be too strict. Just wait for me to come back and handle it. Finny was 15 now, which was the age for pureblood wizards to get engaged. Some families even did it earlier. After giving his instructions, Finny turned and apparat away from the manor. He reappeared in a shadow in Diagon Alley, jumped forward, and transformed into his animagus form, a small black kitten with white paws and yellow-blue eyes. This magic didn't get used much after he learned it. He practiced it alone, rarely showing it to others. As the kitten, Finny moved quickly through the crowd in Diagon Alley and soon reached Vanilla Cafe at number 94. Following Damon's directions, he entered his private room, shifted back to his normal form, and waited. A moment later, Astoria walked in with a letter. The letter had Damon's mark on it, which served as her pass to enter the private room. Finny! Astoria exclaimed, spotting him right away. Luckily, the private rooms had soundproof spells, or Finny's identity could have been exposed. Long time no see, Leah, Finny said with a smile. Take a seat. This place is mine, and their ice cream is amazing. You should come by to try it sometime. Oh, and here's something for you. With this, you can come straight to this room next time. He handed her a silver ring. It had the black family emblem, and unlike Damon's, this one was for a family member, not a subordinate. Astoria's face flushed as she took the ring. The little girl was shy, keeping her head down and avoiding Finny's gaze. But she quickly put the ring on her finger, as if to say, this is mine, and I'm not giving it back. Seeing Astoria's cute, stubborn expression made Finny feel better. He knew the ring meant a lot to her, especially since he saved her life. Okay, let's get to business, Finny said after giving her a moment to calm down. Astoria nodded, her big eyes focused on him, eager to hear more. Finny continued, I recently reorganized the British magical world. The rich family has caused some chaos here. Some pureblood families still want to challenge Black's leadership, and the Ministry of Magic has its own plans. I was hidden away for a while, and rumors of my disappearance spread. The pureblood families were too wary to act, but the Ministry tried to seize my properties. They were released later, though. I plan to disappear again and see who makes a move. Basically, I'm fishing for law enforcement. But I'm not sure if those with bad intentions will stay hidden, so it's better to deal with potential threats now. Astoria nodded, asking, so, what do you want me to do? She figured Finny didn't just come to tell her about disappearing and to give her the ring. He had bigger plans. Finny confirmed her thoughts. I do need your help. I might not be at Hogwarts for a while. There's not much left for me to learn there, but Dumbledore and Harry are both there, so things might get interesting. Astoria, being the second daughter of the Greengrass family, couldn't use magic due to a curse. Reading became her hobby, making her wise beyond her years. So, you want me to keep an eye on Hogwarts? She asked. To her surprise, Finny shook his head. No, I'm not asking you to watch Hogwarts. Dumbledore is there, and as long as he is, things will be chaotic. I want you to focus on your safety. Those looking to act in Hogwarts won't care if they hurt others. You still have to go to school, and your magic isn't strong enough to protect yourself. If danger arises, keep your distance. He looked seriously into Astoria's eyes, making her blush. Feeling embarrassed, she turned red. Finny couldn't help but laugh and ruffled her hair, messing it up. When she tried to push his hand away, he finally let go. Astoria felt shy and angry, but Finny's mood lifted. Seeing him smile made her happy too. They playfully argued about her hair for a bit. Astoria wanted to retaliate by messing up his hair but was too shy to try. Their playful banter ended when the staff brought their ice cream. Watching Astoria scoop ice cream with a small spoon, Finny asked, you know what that ring means, right? Astoria froze, the spoon stuck in her mouth. After a moment, she nodded, blushing. Finny continued, since you understand, when I return from Greece, I'll go to Greengrass Manor to discuss things with your father. Astoria turned red again and stammered, I'm still young. I can't. Finny teased her, can't what? Can't get married yet, she finally blurted out, face burning. Finny chuckled and patted her messy hair. Don't worry, I'm just talking about discussing the engagement. We'll wait until you graduate from Hogwarts to marry. By the time I'm back from Greece, the wizarding world will be in turmoil, and an engagement ceremony for the heir of the Black family will attract attention. Astoria's expression dimmed at this. Finny reassured her, my main focus is the engagement, and my people will ensure no one disrupts the ceremony. That's not what I meant. Astoria waved her hands, but Finny wasn't listening. By the way, did you say you're going to Greece? She asked. Finny nodded. Yeah, I need to disappear for a bit, and going abroad is the best option. Plus, I have things to do in Greece. After finishing their ice cream, they chatted for a while. Even though their words weren't exactly romantic, they felt closer and more reluctant to part. But Finny had to stick to his plans. With Sirius still in a coma, he had to take action. After saying goodbye to Astoria, Finny went to the backyard of the Vanilla Cafe, where his men usually stayed. The person in charge was waiting for him. When Astoria entered with Damon's mark, he realized Finny had come to the base. Are you the person in charge here? Finny asked. The man nodded, yes, master. How can I help? Finny said, just charge the little girl's visit to my account next time. If her friend comes, give them a 30% discount. Though it sounded like it was charged to his account, it meant Astoria wouldn't be paying anything. The man was loyal to Finny. Unlike combat wizards, those in charge of strongholds were very loyal, many of whom were muggles or mixed bloods. They had faced hardships and found new purpose through Finny. In addition, inform other strongholds to stay alert and wait for Damon's instructions. I think the British wizarding world is about to get interesting. Finny smiled slightly, as if looking forward to the chaos. I wonder who will star in this show. Meanwhile, Astoria returned to Greengrass Manor with the Black family ring, where her sister Daphne noticed it. Daphne, raised with pureblood values, felt a pang of jealousy. She had her own feelings for Finny but couldn't approach him like her sister did. After greeting Astoria, she retreated to her room, feeling down. When their father, Phoebus, saw the ring, his expression darkened. Phoebus thought, it seems plans are changing. Leah can't be the marriage candidate anymore. Though he led the Greengrass family to join Black, he still valued their status in the pureblood community. He had hoped to marry Daphne to Finny, while planning for Astoria to marry into another family. As a loving father, he wanted to ensure his daughters were happy with his plans. Last year, Finny lifted the curse on the Greengrass family, allowing Phoebus and his wife to have another child, making Mrs. Phoebus pregnant with the heir to the Greengrass family.